Thursday is a wonderful day. It's good to be here. Good to be seen. Good to have you here. Sorry for the 3 times on the music. Sometimes the music just hits. Sometimes you get somebody like Biter who makes the dopest theme song on the internet, and you just have to listen to it 3 times. So that's really just on me. Truth be told, actually, I was finishing up reading an article that I'm going to wind up covering tomorrow. And I was trying to get through it enough that I could cover it today, but we didn't happen. So, how is everybody? Good to see you guys. Brown hat, yeah, that's right, brown. This hat has been worn before, but I have to adjust because I have a green screen behind me. So before lives, I have to adjust the similarity, and so this hat I've worn before, but it looks black most of the time. I got a little bit of a warmer light option. If you can see here, I can change like the type of lighting I have here. And because my screen is really blue, I have like a warmer light. And so it looks more brown today. That's why. Active shooter at FSU this morning. Oh, Lord. Is that real? That's a real thing? Let me look this up. You gotta be kidding me. I'm not seeing it. Why have I not seen that? Oh, okay. I'll just pull this over here. We can see what's... There's someone being arrested.
Yeah, the police are here.
I don't know if that's them. Does anybody know?
Yeah, the police are here.
Let's definitely never do anything about guns in this country. Let's definitely not do anything about it. Let's just keep allowing conservatives to be like, it's guns don't kill people kill people. Yeah, people with guns. That's what they do. Jesus.
Yeah, the police.
Let's definitely never do anything about fixing that. Let's definitely just keep letting it happen. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, I have many. How many hats do I have? A lot. I don't really buy clothes very often. You've seen me dress. I wear a hoodie every day. I'm a terrible dresser. For any of those who know me in person, they can attest to that. I don't care about clothes that much, but I do like hats. It's always been my thing. I think it was mostly because, like, growing up, I wasn't allowed to wear hats. My mom and dad both came from like really, really conservative, traditional families, and so you couldn't wear hats in the house or anywhere. So there was a lot of like unhealthy habits I developed as I left the house. Like one of them was drinking caffeine. You're allowed to drink caffeine as a Mormon, but we weren't. There was a president of the church one time that said like only he was asked on 60 Minutes, I think it was, like, do Mormons drink caffeine? And he said not the good ones. Whew. That was the end of it for my family. We followed all these crazy rules. We weren't allowed to have face cards in my house because there was a guy one time that was like, face cards are used for gambling. Gambling is evil, so you can't have face cards. So legitimately, my entire life growing up, no face cards. I don't even know if people call them face. Could you guys call them face cards? I don't even know. So then I just like, well, once I was out, I would go to like Vegas before I even gambled. I'd play golf down there, and I was traveling back and forth from Utah to Phoenix, and I would stop in casinos just to buy face cards. I have so many face cards. I don't play in like card games almost ever. I saw a meme the other day of like, it was like an ADHD one of this guy dancing around. It was like me anytime somebody explains a card game to me. I don't have the attention span to learn card games. I played yeah, okay, so you guys don't know what I'm talking. Cards, yeah, all right, got it. Face cards. We call them face cards. I didn't know. Maybe that's a Mormon thing. Cards, the cards that you play with, the cards that you would play blackjack with. They have kings, queens, jacks. We couldn't use those cards. We couldn't have those types of cards because they were used for gambling. Yeah, regular playing cards. We call them face cards. All right, fuck you guys. I didn't know that wasn't a thing. We learned something new today. Playing cards, yes. I think we called them face cards because there were faces on them. Because like we could play Uno. We played Rook. Like, but there were games, but legitimately that was viewed as like the appearance of evil. That was a big thing in my house, is that we needed to avoid the appearance of evil. I haven't told you guys a ton of these things. Like, I think I've said this before. When I was in junior high and high school, I think it was junior high, corduroys were in. Like that was the cool pair of pants. And it was like those thicker ones. In fact, everything that's in style now is style from my high school days. If you're around my age, like late 30s, early 40s, you know what I'm talking. Like, it looks like you're in high school again. Everybody looks like the people you went to high school with, or maybe junior high. High school's coming up next, probably. But this is like the junior high style that we're seeing right now. And so those like thicker corduroys, those were cool. A little bit baggier, thicker. My mom just had this thing where she hated fashion. And if something was trendy, we weren't allowed to do it. And so I was allowed to get corduroys, but only the thin ones. And they needed to be a little skinnier. We couldn't have like baggy corduroys. And it was like that all the time. Every year my mom would get me Christmas presents from, and I'm sorry, I'm not shitting on her. She didn't know any better. She has evolved. Even though my mom is still Mormon, she has evolved, and she recognized that some of this stuff was just like scrupulosity and it wasn't healthy. And like, if you go to my mom's house now, she has face cards, or I guess just playing cards. She'll watch movies that are rated R. Still doesn't drink caffeine. Where was I going with that? I forgot. There's my ADHD. What was I going to tell you? Oh yeah, that's what I was going to tell you. So I liked Pac Sun. Like, Pac Sun came to Pacific Sunwear, that came to our mall, and there was one other one, I can't remember what it was. But my mom didn't believe in those stores. because they were too trendy. So she would only buy me clothes from a place called Anchor Blue. If any of you remember that, it was horrendous. And so every year for Christmas, I would get clothes that I just never would wear. So I legitimately bought all my clothes from thrift stores. I would just try and find funny shirts and wear them. And that's how I always dress. So from an early age, since I wasn't allowed to be fashionable, I just thought dressing like shit was more fun. And I've followed that line of logic the rest of my life. I do not dress well. I do not dress up well. I have a suit, I guess. But I don't think I've worn it in years. It probably doesn't fit. Anyways, I've completely derailed. I'm still blown away that face cards was just like a thing that we made up. All right, Lene from TikTok sent me this. This might get cut out of our live, so I apologize in advance. But I just want to play this song because this song is dope. Hold on. While it's playing.
Kamala Harris is cool and all, but I want more Jasmine Crockett's. I want more fuck-offs, the press outlets. I want more out of pocket. I want more bad built, bleach blonde, butch bodies. I want Whitey on his moon and the fuck about my pockets. I want his hands off my grandma's social security check. I want his kid out from behind the Oval Office desk. I want more Ayanna Presley's. I want more AOC's. I want more Angela Rye's. I want more Joyanne Reid's. I want more politicians to meet me on the south side, more parking lot pimping on your timeline. I want more reverence on my TV screen, American requiems and bell-bottom jeans. I want more halftime shows that dismantle American dreams. I want more rappers to find more reasons for Kendrick to beef. I want more of what gets and keeps the people going. I want Jake's B613. I want Liv's and Rowan's. I want real-life clapback, economic pushback and resistance. I want to let the people know that we ain't coming like no bitches.
Clear.
That's so good. So Sundays on the Overflow, Volume 1. I don't know who that. I've never seen that. Unbelievable. I legitimately got goosebumps when I listened to that. That was so good. So thanks, Lene, for sending me that. If you guys find good music, send me that. That stuff I'm more likely to see. Berserker said, "Dress modestly, brother Jay." That's right. That was the phrase. When we would go to church and when we would go to seminary, which was like a class at school. The phrase "modest was hottest" was thrown around. There were signs on that. We would, like the virginity is cool. That's not far off from how we grew up. The modest is hottest thing is great. In fact, let me just give you guys a glimpse into what's happening in Mormon world is actually upside down right now. Let me see if I can find something. If we can get these new garments. So you guys have heard about like the magical underwear. That's what a lot of people call them. Well. I think this is a active Mormon here. So for women, it was like a cuffed sleeve. Is it called cap sleeve? Cap sleeve. The undershirt was like a cap sleeve, and then it was almost knee length that you had to wear in bottom. So that's why you see a lot of Mormon women wear capris or like knee length shorts and no tank tops. And that was a thing. That was like a real problem. In fact, if I could probably find them. Maybe I'll show you guys some prom photos one of these days. I could show anyways. You look at my prom photos and almost nobody there was no strapless dresses. That wasn't even allowed. But tank top dresses were kind of allowed. Spaghetti strap was not allowed. You couldn't wear a spaghetti strap to prom. So if you went back and you looked like at all the modest is hottest, like even our prom dresses, you weren't seeing any cleavage, which was devastating as like a 17-year-old kid. You're going to prom, you're like, damn, it feels like church. But once you get married, for women, once you get married in the temple or you go on a mission, you start wearing garments. For men, it's kind of just after you're 18 or 19, usually when you go on a mission. And suddenly out of nowhere, the Mormon church is like, never mind, we're going to allow garments. We're just going to allow tank tops, which has really pissed off my generation. My generation is very upset because like, what the fuck? The girls who wore like tank tops, they had to be slut shamed all the time. People would, teachers at school would be like, do you feel good about yourself when you wear that? Is that okay? Do you feel like that? Do you feel like that you're causing problems? What about the boys who are looking at you? What are the boys going to think that look at you? So it's like a real blow up right now. She'll probably explain it here.
The
I don't know.
number one question I've been asked in the last 24 hours is, why is the church rolling out new garment designs only for hot and humid climates? And these are the factors that no one else is talking about right now. The church recently released new styles for temple garments, a top that has an open sleeve or more closely resembles a tank top, and a shift or skirt option for bottom.
They don't even call it a tank top. They call it an open sleeve. They've railed against tank tops for so long that they just call it an open sleeve.
These are being tested in countries that have hot and humid climates, and some people are pointing out that, hey, it gets plenty hot in the US too, why can't we have them as well? As far as I can tell, the intention is to roll out these designs worldwide. If you're an endowed member and sign into the church's distribution website, you'll find the images of these new designs, and it says it'll be available in the US at the end of 2025.
I'd like to point out something she said here. If you are an endowed member, that means, like, did you go through the temple and did you swear the blood oaths and do all the secret handshakes that are in the Mormon temple? You have to do all that stuff. And then if you're a woman, you have to promise that you will obey your husband. And then you have the privilege to buy your underwear from the church. This up here, this is the online store. The only place you can buy the special underwear, the garments, is from the Mormon store. So they make you wear a certain underwear, and they also make you buy that underwear from them.
As far as why other countries get these garments first, I think the biggest reason might be that as a global church, they're trying to provide solutions where the greatest needs are. I actually think it's a sign of progress that Utah's not the first place to get something for once. Also consider that if this is a testing phase, they may want to get feedback from the target audience in a small area before a worldwide rollout.
All right, I don't care about that. Here's the reality. God told people to wear these, and now they're like beta. They're like testing it in different markets. How are people going to respond to this? It's listen, it's a cult. It's just a cult. It's not led by a guy who talks to God. It's weird. I'm sure everybody feels uncomfortable watching this. Imagine how uncomfortable it might have been if you had been raised in this religion. And for anybody here, all these Republicans that are here that think I'm fucked up, blame religion. Okay? I'm like this because of this religion. I didn't get this way on my own. Blame religion for everything I'm weird about. All right. This was crazy. I was looking just
one user asks why
YouTube shorts yesterday, and I came across Andrew Callahan. I'm a big fan of Andrew Callahan. He's from Channel 5 News, which used to be called what did they used to what did it used to be called? Somebody help me what it was called. He used to have a different news channel, and he got some funding for it, and then they just didn't want to pay him. Like, it blew up, and then they didn't want to pay him anymore. So he just abandoned it and went to Channel 5 News. This is a story of him going to Joe Rogan's comedy club, the Comedy Mothership? All gas, no brakes. Thanks, Hole. This is a story of him going to Joe Rogan's comedy club, and it's pretty fucking wild. Like, Joe Rogan's not funny anymore. If you did think Joe Rogan was funny at some point, like, he's lost it. He's on edge all the time. He's paranoid. He's caught up. All he thinks about is trans people. And I thought this story was really, really telling for who Joe Rogan has become and why we're starting to see a lack of success on his podcast.
One user asks, why haven't you been on the Joe Rogan Experience? Well, there could be two reasons for that. One, which is probably most likely, is that I'm not popular, famous, and influential enough to be on JRE. Two, could be related to a little green room spat that I had with Mr. Joe Rogan at his comedy club in Austin, Texas. So I'm not even a Joe Rogan hater, and I thought the mothership was actually pretty tight, especially how they lock your phones up in these magnetically sealed plastic sleeves when you enter the door. It definitely brings the anxiety levels down and makes it so comedians can push the envelope a bit more with their material, so it keeps comedy and experimentation alive without the fear of cancel culture. I was in Austin doing a couple different podcasts. The first podcast was Lex Friedman, and then the following day after that, I did the Matt and Shane Secret podcast. And unfortunately, Matt was out of town, but the homie Lemaire Lee, shout out to my boy, was there replacing Matt for that day. So that night after the podcast, Shane had a set at the Mothership Comedy Club. So he invited me, and in between sets, I'm chilling at the bar downstairs, and I'm getting like lightweight blown up by fans, which is fine. You know, I love fans. It was chill, but I was kind of like in a more relaxed headspace. I wanted to just doze off, listen to comedy, chill. And so I told Lemaire, I'm like, yo, can I go upstairs to the green room? I'm trying to, kick back and, lay low for a bit. He's like, man, I could take you there, but just so you know, Joe Rogan's a bit territorial about that green room. Like, so it's at your own risk. And I'm like, dude, no way, it's going to be fine. Joe Rogan's reacted to like 7 of my videos because Jamie always plays them. So I'm like, it's going to be chill. So me and Lemaire take the elevator up to the secret.
I love you say, I've never heard of him. Joe Rogan plays his stuff all the time. If you watch Rogan, you've seen Andrew Callahan clips.
Green room at the Mothership. There's 5 comedians in there, all in their mid-20s, Everybody recognizes me except for Joe Rogan. So everybody's dapping me up. Lemaire says, "Hey, Joe, it's my homie Andrew." Shake Joe Rogan's hand. I put some popcorn in the microwave, which I felt like was establishing myself as a member of the green room. And then I turn around and I see Joe Rogan like yelling at the security guard. And he's yelling, "Who let this fucking journalist in here? Kick him the fuck out." I could hear Joe saying this. I guess somebody told him that I was like a journalist, so he maybe thought that I was a Daily Beast reporter that had snaked my way into his safe space to ask him about ivermectin, which is a valid concern. So before I could even get kicked out, I was like, "Lemaire, I gotta get out of here." And I walked down the stairs and went back into general population. So that could be why. I'm not sure if Joe Rogan thinks I'm like an asshole who was like trying to make my way up there to be like, "Dude, please have me on the podcast, bro. I'm such a big fan." But in reality, I just wanted to lay low and kick back. So
I know Andrew Callahan's being pretty humble here. He says, "I'm not popular enough to be on Joe Rogan." He's got 3 million subscribers. I mean, he's bigger than a lot of people who've been on Joe Rogan with 148 videos. He does excellent work. I'm a big fan of Andrew Callahan. So I thought that story was funny. Swish says Mormon underwear, if you will. Watch the movies. Heretic, so good. That movie's incredible. If you guys haven't watched Heretic, watch it. It's on, I think it's Netflix, right? And then Berserker says, "Dress modestly, brother Jay." Thank you. Jen actually has a picture of Jen spent a little time in Utah, a couple years in high school, and she went to prom. And Jen just wants you to know she was the California slut at prom. Those are her words, not mine. Here's our beautiful Jen, and here are the other two people, the other two young ladies at prom with Jen. And this is common. Like, people were judging Jen for sure judging Jen here. But there we go. Sister Jen there, making everybody proud. I love that. Thanks, Jen. I'll have to pull out some of mine, and I'll have to block out the faces. Yeah, Jen was adorable. Everybody tell Jen how adorable she is and how much you love her. She'll really appreciate that. This is wild. So Tesla's being sued, and I'll get to it in a minute. It's causing real problems inside of Tesla. There's a class action lawsuit recently filed in California that alleges that the odometers in Tesla vehicles are inaccurate. Since the brand uses warranties tied to mileage, these inaccuracies could lead cars to fall out of warranty sooner than they would with a typical odometer reading that would fall within an expected range of accuracy. The complaint was filed on April 4th. Received by Road and Tack, alleges that Tesla knowingly overstates the distances traveled in Tesla vehicles, or at minimum tolerates substantial inaccuracy in distance traveled in Tesla Inc.'s favor. Now, I've heard a couple of reasons why they might do this. This lawsuit is alleging that the reason they do it is because they want to end the warranty earlier. I think that's probably possible. I also think it's so that they can lie about their range. The range of their, like it says you went 300 miles, you went 250, and then they say that their battery range is longer than it is. However they did it, and for whatever reason they did it, it's pretty dishonest. It says that this occurs because the brand employs an odometer system that utilizes predictive algorithms, energy consumption metrics, and driver behavior multipliers that manipulate and misrepresent the actual mileage traveled by Tesla vehicles. I don't know why you would do that. I'm not a car guy. I'm not an engineer. I don't know why you wouldn't just use an odometer in the regular, like the wheel turns, and every time the wheel turns, that goes a certain distance. I don't know why you would add in predictive algorithms, energy consumption metrics, and driver behavior multipliers. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, the tire is round, and every time it goes around, it goes a certain distance. That's how math works. So I'm not sure why they would do that. Unless, get rid of the gum, unless they are trying to lie about their battery range or protect themselves from warranties. The primary plaintiff is Nairi Hinton, states that he bought a pre-owned Tesla Model Y with 36,772 miles on it. The suit claims that his car recorded an average of 2,217 miles per month during his first 6 months of ownership, which pushed the car over the 50,000 mile mark, the point at which the car's bumper-to-bumper basic warranty expired. Over the next year of ownership, however, the suit states that the plaintiff reported that his Model Y's odometer recorded an average mileage of just 1,415 miles per month. The plaintiff says that his commute actually increased during that time, yet the odometer recorded an average drop of approximately 800 miles per month. The same plaintiff alleges that the car consistently exhibited accelerated mileage accumulations of varying percentages ranging from 15 to 117% higher than plaintiff's other vehicles and his driving history. Suit states that the plaintiff previously saw a 6-month average of 6,086 miles across 3 previous cars, 2 from Chevrolet and 1 from Mercedes, under comparable conditions. In a 6-month window in his Tesla, however, the odometer allegedly stated that the driver accumulated 13,228 miles, or 117% more than seen in other vehicles. The lawsuit also claims the plaintiff has found evidence on Reddit and other social media platforms of other Tesla owners who have reported unexplained surges in odometer readings, particularly leading up to warranty expiration. So, anyways, we got a class action lawsuit that dropped yesterday. That doesn't look good for Elon, but it kind of it also then it got worse. Shit, did I put this? I'm going to jump down to 8, Jen. Sorry, I didn't have this in order. Then this happened yesterday.
Absolute mayhem breaking out at Twitter. I kid you not, I could do like an entire live just on Twitter updates. 3, at least 2, but I think 3 top Twitter executives have now quit the company this afternoon. The head of cybersecurity, the head of trust and safety. This last guy, the trust and safety guy, is the guy that Musk has been putting out there all week as his guy, the guy to convince everybody, including advertisers, that everything's okay. The 2 people who just quit were on a call yesterday, ran the call for advertisers to convince them everything was okay. Musk just called an all-staff meeting. He's got them in right now. He was asked, what's the deal with the money, with the cash flow? He says they're hemorrhaging money. This is why he sold all the Tesla stock, was to keep Twitter afloat because the company would have shut down. He said, when asked about bank.
Remember in Q4 after the election and January earnings came out in January, and we had to hear nothing from these MAGA people except for, you guys said that he couldn't run a good company and now they have record earnings. And it was like it led every Fox News segment. Every right-wing creator's like, look at you libs, you dumb libs. And we're all like, yeah, there was an election. And they poured in a bunch of money in Twitter ads, including like money that Elon Musk pumped in himself. We said, we don't think that this will last. And it's not. They're hemorrhaging money now.
Bankruptcy, he said, I forget the exact quote. He basically said, I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it. Like, it's a possibility going into bankruptcy now. It is, this, in addition to all the news today, that everyone's been getting fake accounts now because of Musk making the verification process no longer verification, but you can still get the blue check. The blue check used to mean you're verified on Twitter. I've got it, meaning you've proven who you are. It also means you're notable in some ways, that you're a journalist or whatever. But the most important aspect of it is you have to prove who you are with an ID, a government ID, and it says you are who you say you are. Well, Musk got rid of that. You could just pay $8. Anybody can get the blue check, and people have been doing it all day. Somebody got Jesus. Somebody pretended to be Eli Lilly, making like all their drugs legal. Eli Lilly, pissed off as hell, major drug company. The Eli Lilly account, the fake one with the check mark, was up for 3 hours, and Eli Lilly couldn't get Musk to take it down.
That's actually pretty funny.
Somebody created a Donald Trump account. Somebody created a President George Bush account. Somebody created a Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of the UK. It's a cluster what's going on there. It makes me really sad. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't like Elon Musk. I had respect for him in terms of what I thought he did with Tesla, what I thought he did with SpaceX, but now seeing what he's doing with Twitter, I'm kind of wondering what he actually did with Tesla and SpaceX.
Yes, his companies are appearing to fall apart. We covered it yesterday, but for whatever reason, they hacked into the NLRB and they stole all that data. Looks like they're giving Russia a backdoor into our government. And now Tesla is seeing their sales are plummeting. Twitter is hemorrhaging money. Twitter, they just pulled off like the. We're not a real country. Can we just be honest about our economy? We don't have a real fucking economy. It's absolutely bizarre what we're allowed to do. Elon Musk buys Twitter with $0. He just leverages his Tesla stock to buy Twitter. Then when his Tesla stock is plummeting, he sells Twitter to himself, to X, And now he's saying, or to XAI, excuse me, and now he's saying he might be bankrupt. This guy might buy Twitter, keep it, and pay no money. Isn't that insane? Like the banks are just going to take the hit. Our economy makes no sense. And then you have all these other people who are like, yeah, like I'm going to get somebody said he was a based like crypto Marxist. And then the crypto bros are like, yeah, dude, we've been telling you it's all a facade. Bro, crypto's worse. The way that people are like, well, my exit from this economy is going to be crypto. Crypto's not even a thing. Crypto's just like Imaginationville. Yesterday, a top 20 coin lost 90%, or not yesterday, I think it was the last couple days. A top 20 coin lost 90% of its value all of a sudden. Why? Because people sold it. That's it. A bunch of the holders sold it. And now that wealth is wiped out. A top 20 coin. A coin that does nothing, that is worth nothing. It's just on the blockchain. And it's just, they're like, oh, we decided this isn't worth anything anymore, and now it's worth basically nothing. Our economy is not real, guys. We are beyond fucked. And I guess the one thing we could say for Trump is he's exposing it, but like he's exposing it by elevating everybody who is running the economy and running crypto and being like, I want some of this money too. Speaking of which, Trump's family has made now
Olga, when you look
billions of dollars in crypto. This is from Bloomberg, talking about the Trump family's all-in shift on crypto, where now they're deregulating it. They're not prosecuting anybody. All these people who have run the same pump and dump schemes that Trump ran, they're not going to do shit about that. They're just going to allow these scammers to keep on scamming.
Olga, when you look across the new budding crypto empire for the Trump family, where are most of the gains being made?
So the family, like you said, has invested into a whole slew of different projects over the last 2.5 years or so. And I would say the most of this paper gains are in the meme coin that was launched right before sort of an inauguration, as well as, but you know, we see them across the board. Trump started by issuing NFT collections, then now he has footprints and everything from, the family has a Bitcoin mining venture, there is a decentralized finance project that's ongoing, so lots of different ventures.
Olga, as you point out in the piece, Shanali and I spoke to Eric Trump a few weeks ago. We asked him about potential conflict of interest or perceived conflicts of interest. He said, I don't work at the White House. We've believed in crypto for a long time, and there are no conflicts. Essentially saying
that's crazy to say, like, is there a conflict of interest? Well, I don't work at the White House. Well, your dad does. And your dad is the beneficiary, and he's writing or he's deciding what gets investigated, what doesn't. He's deciding which executive auxiliary functions they'll use to go after scammers. And by the way, he also has the power of the pulpit, where he can do things like, now's a great time to buy DJT, and just put his stock symbol up there. This, I don't know. I think one of the hardest things about covering Trump is things that are obvious scams and should piss off everybody. The Trump people don't give a fuck about. Donald Trump's crypto scam, and we've explained it a bunch of times, we'll just do it again. He has a crypto coin, the Trump coin. And if you want to give Donald Trump money, let's say you're Russia and you want to funnel him $10 million. Let's do a different number. You would need, let's say, $10 million, whatever the fee is. You want to funnel him $3 million. That'll make it easier. So you go in and you spend $100 million. You buy $100 million worth of crypto coin, his Trump crypto coin, right? On that purchase, you're going to pay 3%, which is $3 million. So out of that $100 million that you just invested, now you have $97 million invested. But you can just turn around and sell that. And by the way, when you pump $100 million in, the price goes up. Right, because now there's more there's more demand, there's more eyes. People will follow, they'll buy too. Suddenly your coin's worth more. So people can give Donald Trump $100 million. It bumps up the price. They can pull that money out. Now it's worth, let's just say it's worth $110 million now. You pull it out, You pay a 3% fee. So now you've paid $6.3 million and you made $10 million. So your net is what, $3.7 million. You made $3.7 million and Trump made $6.3 million and nothing happened. You just made money for no reason, right? Except for then when you pull that money out, it tanks. So the people that followed you, they lose their value. Do you see? This should not exist. This is fucking insane that this exists. This is why we say, like, the word that you all hate, that it's a cult. Because this is the most transparently fraudulent thing any president in the history of our country has ever done. It's right in front of your faces, and we can't do shit about it because you guys don't care. You're just like, it's fine. It's fine. He can be fraudulent. He still hates trans people and immigrants. Cool. That's all we really care about. You don't get to say things anymore about corruption. You don't get to say things about fraud. You don't get a voice anymore on this. This is so incredibly fraudulent.
Saying he doesn't talk to his dad about this. What about outside of his family, though, and elsewhere in the industry? Are folks who you speak to, are folks in the industry who are not necessarily involved with the Trump family projects, are they concerned that that the family is getting too involved?
There are definitely concerns like this. So some people in crypto just...
Here comes the whataboutism. What about the other politicians? I'm against that too. You seem to only be against the other politicians who make money. You guys will never shut the fuck up about Nancy Pelosi. Compare Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump. It's not close. This was a guy who was broke when he entered the presidency, and now he's accelerated his wealth. He's more rich now than he's ever been, and he was broke when he entered the presidency. It's always whataboutism with you guys. Always. I don't care. I just want you to focus on something different.
Worried about projects like the meme coin in general, because, so many meme coins have left, especially smaller investors holding the bag. And the market cap of this particular meme coin has declined quite significantly since it was launched. So there are questions about, what kind of damage could this do to the way investors, especially retail and smaller investors, perceive crypto. And there are definitely concerns about conflicts of interest as well, because just right now, for instance, there's a lot of work being done in Congress on stablecoin legislation, and the Trump family is working on a stablecoin as well. So some of the things that are being worked on are sort of seem to be the exact same things that the administration or Congress are paying a lot of attention to right now as well.
All right. BRB, I appreciate you being here, by the way. And sometimes I think we agree. You said that Obama went in with 6 million, left with Clinton 30 million, left with 250. Obama went with 6, left with 70. Trump came in with negative 1.8 billion and left with 40 billion. Shut the fuck up, man. The fuck are you talking about? They're not even close. This is the thing. Like, you play whataboutism. If you care about this, talk about it. And by the way, where's the fraud from Obama? I can track Obama's earnings. We know where Obama's money came from. It came from book deals. It came from speaking deals. It came from production credits. You might, of course he got those because he was the president. Of course that's the only reason he got those deals, but we can track it. You can't even track Trump's wealth. You can't even figure out where this money is coming from. You guys don't even know how to play whataboutism correctly. I mean, this is crazy, BRB. For BR212. For real, you're here every day. Is this is really who you are? You're a grown-up, and this is really what you do every day? You just ignore everything Donald Trump does and play whataboutism. You're a child, man. Be better. This is crazy. We're showing you actual fraud. Show me the fraud with the Clintons, and I'll be like, great. Show me the fraud with Obama. Great. We'll call it out. But you're living in the past so that you don't have to acknowledge the present. And that's what all of you are doing. We love Trump. He's great. He's wonderful. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't love him. You're tied to him. You want to love him. You want him to be right because you've tied your entire personalities to him, your entire belief system. You've abandoned everything you've ever believed in. You've abandoned Christianity. You've abandoned the Constitution. You've abandoned the rule of law. You've abandoned empathy. You have abandoned every value that you've ever held as Republicans so that you can support this man. And that's because you've abandoned all of that, you're left with just blindly defending him. And that's what we see here today. This is obvious fraud. If this was any other administration, it would be over. If Biden did 1/1 trillionth of this, you would have marched him down to the gulags. You guys tried. He made $0 and you still tried to impeach him because his son made money. Never hear you guys talking about Jared Kushner. Never hear you talking about Eric Trump. Never hear you talking about Don Jr. We never hear any of that. But God forbid Hunter Biden made a couple $1 million. And none of that went back to Joe Biden. You tried to impeach him for 4 years. You cannot be serious. I don't get it. Could somebody give me an explanation? By the way, if you want to join the show, you can message GenDub1 on Discord. You can come up here, explain it to me. Just come up and explain to me why you don't fucking care. That's what I want to know. I want to know why you don't care about this. I want to know why nothing he does wrong, even when you'll admit that it's wrong, you still don't care. What are you getting? What's the big benefit from this administration that you're getting? FOD said Trump is exposing it, but a real leader would also be finding ways to insulate American people from it. So Trump is a loser. Bree is hot as fuck. I'm out. There you go. Shout out, Bree. Jumar said, "How dare you show those shoulders, Jen? Shame on you." That's hard to say. Show those shoulders. It's hard to say. I have bad posture, and it's making me like I talk worse now. I'm trying to fix my posture every day. The safety blanket of having a rich white man in charge. Yeah. The country voted for Trump. Stand with your country. No. Find your courage. Find your own reality. Oh, you did? Oh, okay, got it. Never mind. That's a crazy thing to say. If the country voted, then you must bow down and lick the boots. I would be embarrassed. I never had that kind of fealty to a single president. I didn't say that. I wasn't like that with Joe Biden. None of us were like this with Joe Biden. None of us. Nobody ever said he was elected, so we have to follow him. That's an excuse that you make when you don't have an answer. And I think that most of you don't have an answer. Anti-YT trad. You're muted for 1 minute. We don't disrespect Bree here. Just kidding. Don't mute him. I was just kidding. All right. Here's the Ross vote. While Trump is making billions of dollars, while Trump's friends are making billions of dollars because he's manipulating the stock market, here's Ross vote talking about the real problem in the United States: libs. There's too many libs.
Are these cuts going to be things that last and have lasting impact?
By the way, we're not doing Project 2025. Author of Project 2025, Trump administration. He's one of the voices in the Trump administration. Author of Project 2025. Just want to point that out once again that you guys fucking lied. And for those of you who weren't lying, you got lied to and you didn't care. I like being lied to. It's what I'm used to. Y'all got daddy issues.
That's exactly right, Martha, and I think they will. There are two parts. Number one is $1 billion cut to unspent funds at the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, NPR, PBS. We've known for decades that they put out liberal information. What we didn't necessarily know to the extent over the last several years, the way that they are almost pioneering the cultural indoctrination of our kids, putting drag queens in children's programs, doing documentaries on pushing for reparations, and dividing the country on the basis of race.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about an uncomfortable fucking truth here. He's saying like they're indoctrinating our children for reparations. That's not indoctrination, unless by indoctrination you mean like teaching our children to keep our fucking promises. How about that? Freed slaves were promised 40 acres and a mule, and they never got it. 40 acres and a mule post-slavery would have established in many families generational wealth, generational education, generational equality, generational equity. What Russ Vogt and Republicans are upset about is that there are a bunch of people that said, "Hey, we didn't keep our promises." Why should children in America not be taught that America made people slaves? Then when they acknowledge, "Oh, we shouldn't have done that," here you go. Here's as a show of contrition, as a show of goodwill, we're going to give free slaves 40 acres and a mule, and then just didn't do it. That's not dividing on race. That's dividing on integrity. And I do think we are divided on integrity. I do think that the people with the crosses around their necks and the people with the MAGA hats on lack integrity, intellectual and just regular integrity. The truth is irrelevant. Keeping your word is irrelevant. It's wild. Donald Trump has broken most of his promises to you, and you guys will show up and say he keeps every promise. That's wild. That's like the cult that I grew up in. Things we would here's a good example. So when I was younger, there was a cult leader named Gordon Hinckley, and he talked to God, of course, and God told him that even though the Mormon Church isn't called the Mormon Church, it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, everybody colloquially called us Mormons. So he said, let's embrace that. And God has told me we should use that as a way to spread our message. So they made a website. It was Mormon.org. They produced a movie called Meet the Mormons. It was a actually pretty successful movie. It played in movie theaters all over the country. They embraced the Mormon thing. And there was one guy that was in the leadership of the church that's like, I don't like that. I don't like that we're taking Jesus out of the name. But the prophet overruled him because, of course, he speaks to God. And then 2 prophets later, that guy, Russell Nelson, is the prophet, maybe 3 prophets later, I don't know. Now he's in charge, and suddenly God told him that we should not say Mormon. And you'll see, if you come across Mormons and you call them Mormons, a lot of times they'll correct you. Now, we prefer Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's what they say. And they've been told to say that, so they say it. And nobody addresses the fact that God somehow changed his mind in 4 years, or 8 years. God's just like, never mind, fuck that one up. God said, Mormon leaders forever said black people would not hold the priesthood. 1978, as BYU's being boycotted by virtually every college in the country to play, they won't play them in football, basketball, whatever. Suddenly God's like, hey, you know what? Now's a good time. Changed my mind. Black people can hold the priesthood now. 1978, by the way. 1978 is when Mormons said, yeah, black people, you can be involved. You can. What that means, by the way, holding the priesthood means you can be a leader. It means even simple things like you can pray over the sacrament at church, which means you can hold certain callings. It's very simple. Literally, when you're a kid, when you're 12 years old in the Mormon church, you get the priesthood. But up until 1978, if you were 12 years old and black or indigenous, we're not doing that. And that's what you guys are doing too. They lie to you every day. And they break promises every day. And then they tell you, we keep all our promises. And you show up and you go, they keep all the promises. They never do. But what Russ Vogt here is talking, this is white nationalism. He is saying that asking for reparations is dividing among party lines. What are you talking? It's about keeping promises. That's what it's about. And oh, by the way, the reason that all these schools are liberal is because I discussed it yesterday. It's a melting pot. Universities are melting pots. There was some polling done. I read it yesterday. I think it was from YouGov. I can't remember who did it. It wasn't YouGov. I wish I would have saved it. The polling basically says that people that go to college, when they reflect back on their life, their happiest times were in college. And you ask yourself, like, why are your happiest times in college? Well, let's talk about college. College puts you in proximity to a lot of people who are different than you. College is accessible by foot. Most college campuses, you can walk. Most places you eat on a college campus, you do around other people. It creates a community. It fosters community. And the best colleges are the colleges where people go and they have a good experience because of community. And that community is formed despite the fact that people are coming from all different walks of life. That's why people leave colleges liberal. I've been to college. If you've been to college, raise your hand. Sorry, MAGA, I don't mean to single you out, but if you've been to college, raise your hand. And then I'd like to ask you, if you've been to college, how many times were you taught about gender ideology? How many times were you taught about human sexuality? How many times did you discuss things like DEI or CRT? Almost nobody. Almost nobody takes those classes. A small minority of people might take those types of classes. But overall, most of college, you never talk about any of that. This is another lie Republicans are feeding you full of. They say, oh, you go to college and you get indoctrinated. First of all, these are fucking adults. They're calling them children on purpose. They're not indoctrinated. They're exposed to other ideas. And frankly, when you come from a place like I come from that is so sheltered and everybody has the same ideas, when you leave and you're exposed to other ideas and you feel othered, you're like, you know what? I can't force my ideas on you. I can't. I'm going to have to listen. I'm going to have to be more open-minded. And you learn that. That's what I learned in college. I've told this story before. It's fucking embarrassing, but I'll tell it anyways. I grew up in Utah. I went on a Mormon mission. I played soccer in college. My first year back from my mission, I was like at 20, so I was 21 years old, but I was technically a freshman. And we lost like our second game of the year. I don't remember what it was. It was like on a Thursday. We played Tuesday and Thursday, I think is when we played. Might have been Tuesday and Friday, whatever it was. It was our second game of the week. So it was the last game either on a Thursday or a Friday, and we lost. And our coach was talking about like how we weren't practicing with purpose, the normal stuff coaches do. The reality is we might just not have been that good. But I was fuming. And in front of my whole team, I stood up and I called out every single member of my team because the week before we had a barbecue on Saturday, and members of my team were drinking. And I told all of them that they were unserious because they drank and that they were letting the team down and that they, I went off. And nobody on my team backed me up. They wouldn't even make eye contact with me. They didn't talk to me for like a week, like almost nobody. And at the time, I was like, fuck these guys. Like, they don't get it. They don't know what I know. I know that drinking alcohol is the worst thing on earth. And then like a couple months later, I got a girlfriend and I was like, oh, I'm going to hang out with her. She wasn't Mormon. And then I started drinking and I was like, oh, this is fine. But I had to be exposed to that. But my initial reaction was to shame people for drinking and call them out for their behavior. Eventually, I started being around different people. One of my best friends, his name's TJ. He was from Canada. I think his family was maybe from Pakistan. He was Muslim. We had some conversations, and my eyes were opened because at the time, I was still like one of those conservative, all Muslims are bad, 9/11 bad, Muslim bad kind of people. That's why these kids are coming out of schools liberal, though. They're coming out of schools liberal because they're exposed. And that's why people like Peter Thiel, when they recruit from colleges, they isolate people. Like he took J.D. Vance, was it Yale? From Yale, and it was like, hey, come over here. Come be in this conservative group. Don't get stuck with all these liberals. And they isolate them. They don't want people being exposed to other ideas. They want them isolated because it's really easy to demonize people when you don't know them very well. It's really easy to demonize people that you don't interact with. But when you interact with them on a daily basis, it's far more difficult to demonize them. Anyways, I'm tired of Russ Vogt. Russ Vogt wants to cut those funds because they're liberalizing our children. It's ironic that like the criticism of China forever has been like no free speech and it's indoctrination and the government is forcing people to believe a certain way. Now we're talking about telling Harvard that they have to teach conservatism, that they have to teach our values, no DEI. We're pulling money from all these schools. Ironically, like the parts of China that we should be replicating, and I'll get to that later in the show, those parts were not. But like the cultural stuff, that's what this administration is replicating. The only lessons they seem to learn from China are we have to make sure that our population can't have ideas outside of what we believe. We've got to force our ideology onto our people. Weirdly, that's the part that they're learning. This is not an administration of freedom. I'd love to see the materials that are indoctrinating children. What are those? It's called the Bible. The Bible's a big one. That's probably the thing that indoctrinates children the most. Pink says, watch The Big Short last night for the first time. Great movie. Thanks for the recommendation. Pink, I'm going to give you another recommendation. Watch it 10 more times. Every time you watch it, you learn new things, and then other stuff makes sense. If you really want to understand the housing market, and if you want to understand what's coming with CLOs, just keep watching it over and over and over again. Jen, did I hear you?
Yep.
Go ahead.
I'm popping in and do some announcements. So, yeah, no. So I made some other heathen friends after that. Not long after that picture was taken, but yeah, those cap sleeve dresses.
Some other sluts. They were showing their shoulders. Good.
Yeah, our hoochie mom shoulders. But anyways, so everybody, we've been going about an hour. We do the show each day, Monday through Friday, from 9:30 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. This is our job, as much as you guys don't think it is in the comments, which is okay. So if you look in the top left-hand corner, we have our gift goal. That's a goal that we need to knock out each day to keep the lights on, keep doing this like we're doing it. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all of that go towards knocking out the rest of that goal. Also, you can see with the Venmo username, if you guys disagree with Jay and you want to come up and have a conversation, how to do that is, if you don't already have the Discord app, it's an app that's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You can download the app and DM me on Discord. My username is the same as the Venmo, and I can bring you up to talk to Jay in real time. So if you haven't already subscribed to us on Twitch, you can do so with the Amazon Prime sub. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube. There is free for subscription. But we also have 4 different memberships for that as well. Check out our link tree that's in our bio. We're on most socials, and we've got some merchandise, all that kind of good stuff. When it is a door, not a door.
When it's a jar?
Yes.
Nice.
Good job.
Thank you.
Why didn't A and C prank their friend?
Why didn't what?
A and C prank their friend.
I don't know.
They just let her be.
Thanks. Following DEI is not a conservative ideology. Liberal ideas are in full force and fully present in schools. Listen, let me tell you guys a secret, conservatives. Every good thing that has ever happened in this country, literally every single good thing that has ever happened, is progressive. Every ounce of good change that we've ever made, progressive. Conservatism is always wrong. That's what's crazy about the fact that conservatism even fucking exists. Who were fighting against? Who was fighting against ending slavery? Conservatives. Who fought against women's suffrage? Conservatives. Who fights against freedom of speech? Conservatives. It's always conservatives. Every time we try and make any change in this country for the better, it's always conservatives. It's wild. That was one of like my aha moments when I'm like, oh God, conservatives legitimately were on the wrong side of every single movement in American history. You know who didn't want to go to World War II? Conservatives. You know who thought Hitler was like, he's all right. He's right about the Jews. Conservatives. You guys are wrong about everything every single time. That's why the arguments that you have are basically just like, Trump is great. He's fixing everything. Doge is great. Legitimately, every single time. Name me a moment in history when conservatives were on the right side of it. How about every war we've ever entered? Every single war. Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam. Who was it that was, these commies don't want to go to Vietnam. Shouldn't have been there. These commies don't want to invade Iraq. Shouldn't have been there. These commies don't want to go to Afghanistan. Shouldn't have been there. The only time conservatives don't want to go to war is when it's like a white, it's like a white person who's hurting minorities. What did conservatives in America generally think about apartheid South Africa? Not fans of Nelson Mandela, conservatives. Not fans. Literally, every single time you have an opportunity to be on the right side of something, no, this is a slippery slope. No, you dumbass, Andrew. Let me help you with something. Progressives did not want to keep slaves. Progressive means progress, new ideas. Conservative is stay the same. Old ideas. You're trying to make the party switch argument. And the problem that we have here is that you guys are so goddamn dumb that you think that Republican and Democrat means conservative and Republican. They've switched multiple times over the course of history. Right? I'm talking about ideology. In fact, if Republicans became the progressives, all of you would just switch. And I would switch with you. But you wouldn't know because you don't have an ideology. You're just Republicans. So you would just go. If Donald Trump tomorrow introduced socialism, his son yesterday was like, we should probably, all these companies that get government subsidies, they should have to give some of those royalties to the government. That's a progressive idea. That's a progressive idea. We would go along with that idea. And you guys would too, just because Trump said, oh, let's do it. Trump could fix everything tomorrow in the right way, and all of you would go along with it. That's what's so goddamn frustrating about all of this. Trump could end our trade war tomorrow. He could negotiate peace deals with China. He could normalize trade. He could end the war in Ukraine. He could end the war in Israel. He could end the wars in the Middle East. He could do all of this. He's the most powerful president we've ever had. And yet he chooses to make bad decisions over and over and over. He makes the wrong decisions every time. Our problem with Trump is not that he's weak or he's ineffective. Our problem is nobody has ever had the ability to make more change, and all he's doing is trying to make a handful of his friends richer and destroy all of our relationships across the world. Tim, thank you for joining the Dollar Train, my friend. Appreciate you. And Marianne, thank you also. Also wanted to say, consider if we do have paid subscriptions. If you have a paid subscription over on Twitch, you don't have to watch commercials, which is pretty cool. We also have paid subscriptions on YouTube. That goes a long way to help us. And the more people that are subscribed, the more they push us out into the algorithm, and that's super helpful. All right, there's a new funding bill in Texas. It passed. And let me just be honest up front. James Tallarico did vote for this bill because I think I haven't heard him say. I would guess that he said like no funding or funding is better than no funding. But I wanted to show you what Texas is doing. Texas is putting through a school choice bill, which every conservative state is doing, despite the fact that like every bit of data says that it doesn't work. Another ironic thing about you conservatives. You have an idea, the idea doesn't work, and then you just keep doing the idea because you don't want to admit that you were wrong. School choice is a massive failure. Everywhere it's been tried, it's a failure, so naturally Texas is like, let's do it. Here's James Tallarico questioning his Republican counterparts.
Is it true that this bill doesn't catch our schools up to 2019 funding levels?
This bill and other pieces of legislation, some that have passed this body already, will provide more than $10 billion in public education funding. Will this bill, along with other bills,
thanks, Kelly,
catch us up to those funding levels back in 2019?
House Bill 2 is a significant investment.
Would you also acknowledge?
Well, it catches up. It's significant. I mean, for fuck's sakes, we should call this out on both sides every time. But do we ever get tired of people refusing to answer questions? Like, just what's the question here?
Will this bill, along with other bills, catch us up to those funding levels back in 2019?
House Bill 2 is a significant investment.
Would you also?
No, I mean, I know this is clipped, and it's clipped. I watched the whole thing, so it's just clipped to save time. But yeah, never answering question.
Also acknowledge that our schools are in a historic hole financially.
There's no doubt that the inflationary environment of the last few years has hit our schools.
I want to make sure we're nailing down an answer. This does not get us out of that historic hole that our schools are in since 2019. I want to make sure we're getting a clear answer on whether or not this bill, along with other bills, in total would catch our schools up. Because,
thanks,
Chairman, the comptroller says it would take $15 billion to catch our schools up to 2019 funding levels. So my interpretation of this bill, even linked with other bills, would not catch us up to those 2019 funding levels. Is that correct?
Yeah, Mr. Tallarico, what I would do is I would have you go around this floor and talk to each members that have talked to their superintendents, like I have over the last couple of days, and find out, what this bill does for them.
My question to you.
I can't see. This is what it frustrates the hell out of me. If I'm in Texas, I'm pissed as hell right now. They need to make $15 billion they need to spend $15 billion to get back to their funding levels. They are choosing to instead fund the education at $10 billion, and much of that money is going to be pulled from public schools and put into private schools. The reason they don't want to fund it at levels from 2019 is because they want to break it. Because for whatever reason, Republicans think that kids going to school, if your kid goes to school, some capitalist better be making some money off that. It's not to pay teachers more. It's because somebody who owns a school should probably make some money. And they don't like seeing $15 billion in the budget and saying, like, we can't even make any of the money off of that. We need to make money off of that. That's what they're doing right now. They're breaking the school system so it gets privatized. And while they're breaking it, we are falling further and further behind. And then they make the argument like, look, we fund it more than any other country. Yeah. One, it's more expensive here because everything's more expensive here, so we have to fund it more. But two, you're also counting the funding that you're pulling out of public schools and sending into private schools. I don't know how many times I have to say this. 2 states have done this. 2 states have went all in on school choice. It's Oklahoma and Arizona. And they went from middle of the road to dead fucking last in outcomes. Dead fucking last, Arizona. 49th, Oklahoma. This is what I'm talking about with like the difference between us and you. You have an ideology. We want things that work. And if it doesn't work, change it. But because you guys have an ideology of school choice, it's all about the parents need to be able to make a choice. Parents can already make a choice. Parents can already send their kids to private school. Parents can already send their kids to homeschool. Parents can do co-ops and teach their kids. Parents already have a choice. They're lying to you about what this is. It is not school choice. It is not parent choice. It is defunding public education so that you can privatize it. It's breaking the system on purpose so that you can convince people that you need to fix it through privatization. We need to increase competition. It never works. And yet you're doubling down. Republicans said in Arizona, when they were passing this bill, they're like, we are going to do this as a blueprint for the nation. The nation is looking at us, and this is going to work, and it's going to save the taxpayers money. It has cost us hundreds of millions of dollars. We are now pulling money from other budgets to fund education, and we are dead fucking last in education. This is why I have a problem with you guys. If you like Trump, fine. But the ideas, the things that you're pushing, provably don't work. This is like holding up a fishing net and saying, like, I'm going to fill this full of water, and then it doesn't work. And you're like, well, I think eventually if we keep putting water in it, eventually it's going to work. Eventually this fishing net is going to hold water. It's never going to hold water because it doesn't work, because fundamentally the doesn't add up. There's holes. And just like a fishing net, once the water goes through, it's not coming back. School choice is an absolute scam. And it's just billionaires and rich people who want to make sure that their kids learn about Jesus in school. And then billionaires and rich people who want to profit off of schools, paying all of these people in Congress to say, we need to do school choice. And that's how we get here.
And I just want a straight answer. I'm trying to...
Dude, you just acknowledged that the Department of Education doesn't work. Dude, you just acknowledged that you don't know what the Department of Education does. That's what, see, this is the problem we have with Republicans. We have to educate them all fucking day. Kenneth, the Department of Education does not choose the curriculum. The Department of Education does not fund the schools. Schools are funded almost entirely by local taxes, and the curriculum is set by local school boards. The Department of Education just makes it so you can't discriminate. That's all the Department of Education does. You must have went to school in Texas, because none of you guys know what anything does. This is what I'm talking about, Kenneth. Kenneth is a perfect example. This is why it's so easy to get conservatives to act against their best interests, because they don't fucking know anything. And they're not supposed to know anything. They don't want you to know anything. They want you to be Kenneth. They want you to be like, ooh, see? Department of Education doesn't work. We better privatize it. I just told you this is what they were going to do. Kenneth, look it fucking up, dude. Look up what the Department of Education does. This is all a failure on local levels. Who does it well? Which states have good education? Blue states that don't do school choice, that fund it, that pay or charge higher taxes, so they fund public schools, and then their kids come out ahead of your kids, clearly ahead of you. I'm going to guess somewhere in the South is where your education came from, Kenneth. Just a guess. That's the problem. We have to do this every day. Every day we have to try and educate you guys on basic stuff that you should have learned in 10th grade. Please don't be violent and rude. It punishes listeners and alienates those who you'd like to convince with evidence. Alienated people reason irrationally. Kyle, if you have a problem with me saying fuck, go watch somebody else. I don't know what to tell you. I am crass. I curse. Sorry. It's gonna happen. I may not be everybody's cup of tea. I won't ever be mainstream because of that. I can't help it. Sorry, bud. All right.
To be respectful in my questioning of you, I'd like a respectful answer in return. Will this bill catch us up to 2019 funding levels? That's a yes or no question.
I believe that this is a bipartisan effort to close the gap. No.
It's laughable. It's laughable what they're doing here.
I'm going to take that as a no until I get a yes.
All right. You learned in ninth. Well, I was in Utah. We didn't learn it until 10th grade. Some of you guys were ahead of us. Yeah, it was an assumption. When I said I assume you're from a southern state, that's an assumption. I told you it was an assumption. Bree said, shout out to FOD and my hater for the day, anti-white or whatever your name is, because you need glasses, baby. Good to be back, Jay and friends. Can I get a good girl? Good girl, Bree, for old time's sake. Megan, thank you for the super chat. Leafy Green said, conservatives drink Trump Kool-Aid like it's fine wine. It's sewer water. You're drinking sewage. Drinking absolute sewage. Yeah. School choice doesn't work. It's crazy. I'm baffled by the people that are in the chat that are like, it works, I support it. Come tell me why, please. Come please explain it to me. Explain why, if it works, why doesn't it work? That's the question. If it works, why doesn't it work? You're pointing to things that don't work as your reasoning. And again, I am rude, and I get it. And you can be rude to me back. You guys are all allowed to be as rude as you want in the chat. That's fine. That's how I talk. I'm not offended. I apologize if I offend you. But if something doesn't work, and then you just point to something's broken, that's not evidence that your idea fixes it. I agree with you. Our education system is broken. Now, in real life, if you're doing something that's not working, do you just keep trying the same thing until it works? Or do you maybe look at people who are trying the same thing that you're trying, that are doing it more effectively, and learn from them? I would say the best course of action is to look at all of the countries that do education way better than us. And if you look at all those countries that do education better than us, they have strong federal funding. They have standards on a federal level. Education is mostly free, and if not free, it's very affordable. Private schools do not pull away. The countries that have private schools, you can't take money from public schools to pay for the private schools. If you're very wealthy and you want to send your kid to a private school, that's fine, but you're still going to pay taxes, and you're still going to pay for public education. Every other country that does it better than us does it that way. And this is just ideological. This is, you're Republican, you think I'm a Democrat, and so you're like, I have to disagree. We can't let the Democrats be right about this. And the thing is, we're just right about it. We're just right about what works in education. You see it. Our states are at the top. Your states are at the bottom. Countries that do it the way we want to do it are at the top. Countries that do it like you want to do it are falling down the list. It's a free fall. That's the real problem we have here. You are only opposed to doing it the best way because ideologically you are told to. You are told to oppose this. You are told that eventually all of this will work. Trickle-down economics, it's going to work eventually. School choice, it's going to work eventually. Cutting taxes and increasing spending, it's going to work eventually. Ignoring climate change, ignoring renewable energy, it's going to work eventually. Putting the Bible back into school, it's going to work eventually. And then none of your shit works. None of it works. And then you're just like, we better keep doing it then because those other countries, they're commies. All right, keep going here. This was interesting. I think I'm the only one I found this on Instagram. I haven't seen this one go around. I don't know who this guy is, Mr. Dadbod. You can see not a lot of engagement. It popped up on my timeline today, but I want to show you this video because every once in a while, these people with the red hats or the black hats, they get really fucking close to figuring it out, but then they get to the Trump part, the part where you blame Trump for something. And that's the bridge they can't cross. Because in this movement, in this Republican Party, you cannot say mean things about Donald Trump. You cannot even say that Donald Trump is wrong. You have to figure out a way to blame everybody but Trump. Watch how close this guy gets. So close to realizing Trump is just a grifting criminal, and then he has to blame somebody else. It couldn't possibly be Trump. Mary said, every day you school the right, and I love it. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday, the 15th April, 2025. Want to jump on right quick because I've talked about it in my videos. Obviously, Make America Great Again. I am for Donald Trump. But something doesn't make sense.
Just that is a fucking crazy thing to say. I'm going to point out all the culty shit all the time. It's weird to say I'm for Donald Trump. You should be for his policies. You should be for his agenda. But so many people are just like, I love Trump. I'm for Trump. I'm pro-Trump. That's weird. That's a weird thing to say about somebody that is running the country. Because you're admitting, and he's going to show here, you're just saying, like, I just like Trump. I don't really give a fuck what he does. I'm going to blame everybody but him because I'm just pro-guy.
I don't know if his team or who is behind it, but I get these emails. I'm going to show you my screen in just a second. And it honestly, I get text messages, I get emails every day, all day. And this one kind of threw me for a loop. And
emails every day, all day. And what are those emails asking for, sir?
I'll show you why. So I'm going to turn my screen here and I'm going to show you. So right here it says, would you accept a Doge dividend check signed by Trump? Answer now. So if I click on that, it will open up this screen, which says, please answer before this poll closes tonight. Reply to Trump. So if you scroll through, you can answer some questions and whatnot. But then you get to this point. It won't let you go any further unless you donate some sort of money. You can't move any further unless you continue with card or donate with Google Pay.
It's almost like you're not getting a dividend check. Almost.
So I don't know who's in charge of this, but the Doge dividend checks are for money that the federal government has stolen from us, correct?
No.
Why in the world?
No, incorrect. The government taxed you, which is not theft, and then they told you what they were spending it on, but nobody knew where to find that because you guys don't actually care about any of this shit. Most of us don't care about any of this shit. I don't care about this shit. You only found out about it because Elon brought to attention that website existed. So no, it's not theft. No, they didn't steal it from you. The Congress appropriated it. These budgets passed Congress. They were itemized. We know exactly what was spent.
Would I donate money to a billionaire to get a Doge dividend check of stolen taxpayer money? That does not make no sense to me. That is almost like this Verizon lawsuit settlement that's going around right now. They have won, these lawyers have won $100 million on your behalf because Verizon was charging fees and things that they weren't supposed to, and someone sued them for $100 million. And your cut of that money, if everything goes to plan, is $15. Yes, you heard that right. $15.
What did we figure out it was with the Doge savings? The Doge savings wound up being like 150 billion if you trust Elon. So what's that? Let's pull up a calculator. I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be for taxpayers. It's kind of hard to figure it out because it wouldn't be per citizen. But if we go, that's 100 million. Can I even go to 100 million? By 3 $298. Okay.
Is what you would get out of that $100 million. The rest of it goes to the attorneys and all these people, blah, blah, blah. You get nothing. That is the way the federal government works. They steal trillions of dollars, and then they find out about it. People know what's going on now, and they want you to donate money in order for you to get a check for a refund. So let me know your thoughts. What do you guys think? I don't know if Trump even knows this is going.
Yeah, he doesn't know, guys. He just doesn't know. That's it. There's all these people around him that just want your money. Not Trump, though. Trump certainly doesn't want your money. He doesn't want your money unless he's selling you some cheap shit made in China. That's the only time he wants your money. Trump doesn't want your money, guys. This must be everybody else.
Going on that these people are doing this, sending these emails out, trying to get money from people when he's already the president.
Yeah. Yeah, why is he fundraising all the time? Where was the screenshot? Did it show on the screenshot? Who is it? Sent from Donald Trump. This is WinRed. This is his website. Yeah, this is his. It's not even like somebody else scamming. This is WinRed. This is his pack. Donald Trump's not scamming me. Somebody else must have access to the email list. Donald would never do this to us. He would never. Fun fact, Brian says, districts in Texas receive $65 per child to make the Bible part of their curriculum. That's indoctrination, okay? Like, if you're going to read a book that's like so transparently not true, that's indoctrination. Jen said, Hat Daddy spotted roasting Joel Patrick last night. God, fuck that guy. Joel Patrick is such a absolute fucking phony. He's a grifter. He has no real beliefs. You guys, I don't think Joel Patrick should not be platformed without people making him answer specific questions. And then if he doesn't, just kick him. That guy doesn't have any beliefs. He saw that as a black person, he could grift off of Trump supporters by giving out the white privilege card. And he grifted for a while, and he ran around with that chick who shit her pants, and they just did like shock jock shit on college campuses. And then people are like, we don't care about you anymore. And now he's irrelevant. And he just shows up on TikTok, brags about his 1 million followers, and nobody shows up with him. He'll come into a live, and there's no more, like, more people don't show up. Sometimes people leave. Yeah, I was roasting Joel Patrick. The guy's a joke. And I've told that to his face. I don't feel bad about saying this behind his back because I've said this multiple times to his face. Joel knows how I feel about him. Here's some scary news if you live in tourism. For those states like Florida, California, Montana, Washington. Let me find the one that didn't have. I think it was this one. Any state that relies heavily on tourism, we've got some issues here. By the way, this is Ground News. If you guys don't ever use Ground News, I'm a big fan of Ground News. Where is it going to give me the damn article? Where's my article? Why didn't it let me pick? Oh, there it is. Yeah, this is the one. Where the hell is it? They're gonna make me pay now? God damn it. All right, I'll just summarize. People from around the world are abandoning the United States as a tourist destination right now. We are expected to lose somewhere around 30% of our tourism revenue just because people don't want to come here. People are nervous about what will happen if they'll be detained. I see that, Jen. I'll get to it right after this. You can see here in Europe, this is the number of Europeans traveling to the United States. This is how this has cratered under Trump. Now, you guys might say, I know that the Trump folks might be like, good, we don't want foreigners. But these are American jobs. I think there's like 13 million jobs related to tourism in places where Trump has done well, too, specifically Florida, Las Vegas, Arizona, red parts of California. Nobody is going there. And people for sure aren't going to red states. You can see Austria is down they're down 20%, Denmark down 30%, Germany down almost 30%, Iceland, shout out Asta Sofia, down 30+%, Norway, Spain, Sweden, even the UK, who you would think they wouldn't be too worried, they're down almost 10%. Donald Trump is cratering our economy in every imaginable way. The parts of this that I think people don't recognize is that just him being president and his rhetoric makes people not want to come here. They don't feel safe here. Even throw away the tariffs, throw away the hatchet that he's taking to our economy with tariffs. People don't want to come here, so he's going to kill tourism too. The bailouts after Trump is going to be tough. We're going to have to spend a lot of money undoing all the shit that he did. This was let's see, Datur. What's up, man?
You can just call me Reynard. It's
Reynars?
It's easier than no Reynard, like the fox, like
Reynard?
it's like the name of fox in French. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's up?
How you going? I'm right.
What's on your mind?
I don't know how I sound. Well, a lot actually.
Okay.
Oh, shit. I don't know how I sound well on YouTube, but because I'm using my phone right now.
Well, sounds good
But-
on my end. I think it sounds good.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, honestly, I just I just started watching your channel today. I don't really know 100% what you believe in, but you seem to be maybe a little bit left leaning. Am I correct with that?
Oh yeah, I would say more than a little bit. Yeah, I'm pretty far left.
Yeah. Oh, far left. Really? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, there's a lot I agree with on the left. I would say that right socially, but I'm economically left. Like,
Wait, what? You're
like,
economically left, but
well,
right socially? That's wild.
yeah,
Are you like
yeah. I know.
Yeah, are you like a nationalist then? Like a nationalist socialist? Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay. I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, almost. Well, because like, well, I mean, I saw that like today you're talking a lot about MAGA supporters, and honestly, I do think that they aren't the brightest people. Let's just put that, you know, let's just put it that way. But I do feel like there is some good that Trump could do, but he isn't doing.
I agree with that.
Like,
yeah, I agree with that. I think
like
he could do more than anyone.
like, well, I mean, any president can, but what I mean by that, for example, is, you know, he's been doing the charade of like, you know, no taxes on X, Y, and Z. You know.
Yeah.
He promised. Well, I mean, you can fact check me on this because I just heard it from Matthew Bannon, the like Breitbart guy. But Trump promised that he might put tax cuts on the middle class and possibly raise taxes on the wealthy, which would be great. But I highly doubt that he would do that since it's, you know, bought and paid by the elite.
He can't. He's the president. He can't do that.
Yeah. Well, you can advocate that, try to sign it into law.
But they already.
But I mean,
they already have their tax plan, and it doesn't have any of that in there. It's already passed the House.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, like it's a future plan. It won't happen, you know, within the next few months. But
when's it going to
happen? If it did happen, that would be great.
But the future, the tax plan they have there, like makes the tax cuts permanent.
Does it?
Yeah, that's part of the plan. Yeah.
Wait, what plan? Like what? Oh wait, which
the bill,
law are you referring to?
The tax plan that just passed the House.
Not like well versed on that. I didn't really. Hold on, let me look it up. Okay. Is this resolution? Hold on. Resolution 170?
That could be it. Yeah, I don't remember the number of it, but yeah, could be.
Okay.
What's the overall point? Though? What's the overall point though that you're trying to make? Maybe that'll make it easier.
Well, listen, I'm just saying that, like, if Trump was a true populist, he would want to put tax breaks on the middle class and tax.
But he's taxing the middle class
and
right
more
now. He's increasing their taxes. He's
Yeah.
not. He's not a populist. He's a vulture capitalist.
I mean, he uses populist rhetoric, though.
Yeah, that's how you control people. That's what Hitler did too. You
I
use
mean,
populist rhetoric
yeah.
so that you can control people and so that they don't pay attention to all the crazy shit that you do.
Well, I mean, all politicians in the U.S. do that, but I mean,
Yeah, but
like,
not all
he more
politicians.
so.
Yeah, but not all politicians do what he does after that.
Right, he tries to make him seem like he's defending Americans, plural, like all of America, not just like. Well, I mean, also America's interests, obviously, but I mean, like, he wants to make it seem like he's like, with like the immigration stuff, like, oh, immigrants are poisoning, the blood of America or whatever. I
But
think that was a
you
very
agree with that?
stupid thing to say.
Do you think that they are?
I mean,
Can we just drop the
not
charade? Like you're
really.
just like whatever you call it. Like you're a Nazi, right?
Well, your definition is probably very loose, but sure,
fair enough. Yeah,
we could go with that.
Yeah, you don't like immigrants. You're probably not a big fan of Jewish people.
Well, I am Jewish, but yeah, that's another story.
I don't care. I know people say that too, but there's plenty of people who are Jewish who don't like Jewish people.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of self-hating Jews. Marx was one himself.
Sure, I'm not a Marxist.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good. So what? You're like a social democrat?
I don't really align with any ideology. Like if I had my preference, I would have mixed economies. I would have a very strong social safety net and social guarantees, and I would allow a very regulated form of capitalism.
So you're referring to like what, Scandinavian economics or something?
Sure, more similar to that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against a welfare state, but I just feel like what they've been doing with all the Arab and so on immigrants in Europe was terrible, disastrous even.
What is?
The immigrant policy in the EU. They're just letting thousands
we're
and thousands
talking about America, though. Let's talk about America. Our immigration policy in America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, our immigration policy is kind of shitty too. Trump claims that he's going to reduce it, but he's actually increasing it.
Yeah, but you just don't want immigrants, right? It's just because personally you don't want them, right?
Not all immigrants.
I know. Sir,
I mean, ones
brown
that
immigrants, Aryan
ones
immigrants,
that are willing to work. I don't mind Mexicans that are willing to work, but the Haitians aren't really producing that many jobs or businesses or anything.
Well, the Haitians say that Springfield, Ohio wouldn't have a town anymore if the Haitians weren't there. What the fuck are you talking about?
It was running fine before.
No,
nobody heard of it because it's like
it wasn't. It was people were evacuating the city. You can go find business leaders that say like we couldn't find anybody to work. The Haitian immigrants saved our business. That's why they went to Springfield in the first place, because there were jobs available that nobody was willing to work.
Did they?
Well, you think they were in Haiti and they're like, you know where we'd really like to go? Springfield, fucking Ohio. No, there's not a human being on earth that points to a map like, I want to go to Springfield, Ohio.
Well, I don't know how they were let in. Most likely illegally.
No, those people were here legally.
They have any papers? Do they have any?
Yes, they're here legally. That's how they have work authorization, dude. That's how they can work legally.
Not all companies have legal immigrants. They employ illegal ones. They just send them without like.
Yeah, I don't know if you know the history of Haiti, and that the problems that they've had in Haiti. But yeah, we have allowed refugees from Haiti to come to our country for years, and we give them work status.
Yeah.
And everywhere the Haitians seem to go, the people who own businesses are thrilled, and the racists who aren't working seem pissed off.
All the ones in Latin America keep deporting them though. Like they went all the way from Chile all the way up to Mexico, and they kept getting kicked out.
Who did?
The Haitians. You can look it up.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know about the. Yeah, I don't know about the immigration policies of those other countries. All I'm saying here is immigration is a net positive for us. It's just that people are racist. People don't like people that are different than them.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, well, every group has in-group bias. Like even like if you go to any
Yeah, but you should be working
like
to fix. Yeah,
predominant
but you should work to fix
area.
that. Like whatever group you're a part of, you should work to fix that.
Yeah, leftism doesn't really help with that. It just kind of makes it. It just shifts the blame onto white people instead of just go attack these people,
It
and
just shifts the blame
and
on
then
the
it
white
just drives
people.
up.
What are we
Yeah.
blaming white people?
Yeah,
What are we
that's what it
blaming
does.
white people for?
Well, one, privilege. Two,
So you don't believe in white
oppression.
privilege?
3,
You don't believe in white privilege?
I mean, well, not when they're given. Well, not when other groups are given free shit all the time.
White people are
and
given
priority
free. White
other
people are given
people.
free shit all the time. What are you talking about?
No.
Yeah, go look.
No,
Go
no,
look at the
it's
state.
not.
Yeah, go look at the states with the most government handouts. It's going to be deep red states. You're going to see rural white areas that are getting massive. That are getting massive handouts. Who gets
No,
more?
the
Who gets
handouts
more
are given
handouts than Elon
to
Musk?
like
Name
African minorities. African
me
minorities.
one
No.
person who
Okay,
gets
well
more
that's
handouts than
billionaires.
Elon
That's
Musk.
billionaires.
Oh, okay.
People on welfare, second generation. Well, actually, it's like probably like third, fourth generation welfare people. They just leech off the government.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with race.
No, it really does. If you look
No,
at
it really doesn't.
it
has to do with
time. Yeah.
economics and opportunity. That's why the places that have like
Well, yeah.
that's why the places that have generational people that are on welfare, if you go look at the economics of that community,
Mhm.
it's likely that there's not really much upward mobility there. It's likely that we haven't invested in education
Yeah.
there. It's likely that you may have like 30 years ago had manufacturing
Well,
jobs
they
that
keep
left.
talking about.
These are desolate places.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, even if, well, I mean, in Oregon, they tried, like giving, like blacks and Hispanics like free college. Well, I mean, more than free college. They basically reduced
Good.
the what's it called? Like basically, like the eligibility to graduate so low to the point where like it's
You're
not even college level
No,
anymore. It's
you're
like high
making
school.
you're
No,
making that part up. But what about like the history of America with white Americans getting access to free college? Generational wealth was formed when white Americans got access to free college, when white Americans got access to scholarships, when white Americans were able to come in and own businesses, when black Americans weren't.
Well, I mean, I agree. For like
So why aren't
America's
you
first
talking about
200
those
years.
handouts then?
Listen.
So why aren't we talking about those
Listen.
handouts?
For America's first 200 years, yes, it
would you
was
mind answering that
basically
question?
white supremacy.
Would you mind answering that question?
But
Why aren't you
it's
talking
not
about
that
those
anymore.
handouts?
Not that anymore. It's because it doesn't even impact people anymore.
Well,
it doesn't.
Seems to
like
because
barely.
it seems to because Elon Musk has 13 or 14 kids.
He's from South Africa. He's not.
Hold on. Let me help you explain this. People with generational wealth pass down their generational wealth. So kids are born billionaires that have never done anything. And are those kids?
Yes,
and
I'm against that.
Those kids,
I'm against.
Well, that's
I'm
white.
against
Well,
elites.
that's called
I'm
white.
against
That's called white
leechers.
privilege, bud. Because the privilege wasn't given. It is. If it's generational wealth, that's white privilege because black people weren't able to build generational wealth in that same way.
Yeah, but okay, and then
see, this
so
is the problem.
all
This is the
the
problem
new.
I have. If you want to say that we shouldn't give handouts to people now, then we have to recognize that handouts in the past created this. And you're saying like, oh, that's just in the past. Let's ignore it. Let's not try and level the playing field here.
Well, okay. Well, listen. I do think that especially senators and congressmen, they do earn too much money.
I don't give a shit about that.
Like,
that's not even top 3 trillion. I'd like to talk about. I want to talk about white privilege right now. I don't want to go. I don't want you to shift gears and talk about people that make $220,000 a year. It's a drop in the bucket.
Well, media. Just because these. Okay. Well, why not? Okay, but you don't think that all the billions and trillions of dollars that like Chinese mega corporations make, that's not Chinese supremacism just because that they have generational wealth? Like it's fucking stupid what the race that they have. Like the blame shouldn't be like I think the blame should be put on the rich.
Yeah, China is
ethnic. Put on the rich.
There's a lack of ethnic diversity in China. America is that's who we were. We were built to be diverse. We don't have like we're 250 years old. There's
Oh yeah,
not like,
that's
it's not
true.
like an American race. Like the whole point was like we want
Yeah,
to bring
that,
people from all around the world and create a melting pot. But unfortunately, white people, specifically white Christian conservatives, every step of the way tried to make it so they were the only ones with wealth and the only ones with privilege. What the problem I have with I'll just be honest.
okay.
The problem I have with
It's not there
the
anymore.
problem I
It's not
have
there
with your
anymore.
entire ideology, if we're just being 100% honest, is that I think most of you that share your ideology now, you haven't earned a goddamn thing. You're the people that came before
Yeah, that's
you,
true.
the people that came before you kept people forced down in order for them to elevate. They didn't want competition. They were terrified of competition, and the only thing you seem to have inherited from them is that same fear of competition. You would like the pool to be more narrow because then it doesn't make you look so goddamn mediocre.
No, I am against like the rich having this unquestionable,
That's not what I'm talking about.
challenge.
Please don't change the subject. Please don't change the subject.
Listen, but just because that a lot of the elites in America are white
We're
doesn't
not
mean that the
talking about the
the
elites. We're
blame can be
talking about
shifted
white
to.
privilege.
Not every white person is fucking in like 2-story houses. Like that's bullshit. Like no,
That's
I'm
not
in
what.
like a
Okay, so I
1-story
think
house
you
and
maybe
I
don't
can
know
barely
what white
struggle
privilege is.
for
Then
it.
I think maybe that's the problem.
What?
Maybe you
Oh
don't know
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is.
sure. Explain it to me. Explain
Okay,
it to
so
me. Explain it to me.
white privilege doesn't mean that everything you do is easier, right? Privilege exists in different scenarios. So privilege can exist. For example, if you look at, I think it was in Alabama, they did a study. I can't remember what county it was, but they did a study of people being pulled over. And during the day, black people were more likely to be pulled over than white people. But then those numbers went back to even at night.
Okay.
Why is that?
Well, you know that cops
Why
go
might that
after
be?
homeless people like
Why might that be? Why
regardless.
might that be?
No. Listen, you know that
Why
cops go
might that?
after like
Please, I'm asking you
go after poor
questions.
people in general. Cops shoot more white people than
that
black
be?
people.
Why might that be?
But, sure, they have some bias.
They have
Yeah, sure.
there.
I
So
can agree to that.
so in
Yeah.
that instance,
But-
that would be white privilege, right?
yeah, okay, but also they kill a lot of white homeless people
I know, but
because they hate poor
we're
people.
talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. And veterans.
But we're talking about white privilege, right? We're talking about you said
I
it. I'm
think
talking about places where it exists. Do you agree that in places where white privilege exists, where you can prove that white privilege exists, that we should do something to fix that?
Okay, then what's your
No, brother, I'm asking you a
what's the
question.
solution? What's the
No,
solution
I'm
to
asking
doing it?
you.
Because
I'm asking you a
cultural,
question,
like,
please. For the love of God, stop running from questions.
Okay.
In places,
okay, what's the question?
in places where white privilege exists, should we fix it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I believe too, and that conservatives
Okay, but what's the
don't believe
solution
that.
to it?
So, for example, DEI. DEI
Yeah.
makes sure that you can't just hire white people, right? It makes it so that when you consider somebody for employment, for enrollment in a program, you have to consider all qualified applicants, regardless of race, gender, or sexuality. Somehow, this conservative party has made half the country believe that what DEI really is forcing you to hire unqualified people because of their skin color. DEI is what makes the playing field level, and white nationalists got afraid of it because, again, I think the problem that we have here is that we've got a lot of white people that look like me who are fucking mediocre and they don't like losing. And so they want their privilege back. They want their privilege to be magnified. So they undo things like DEI so that their privilege can exist, and their feelings are so soft and so fragile that they feel like, oh yeah, this is okay. This is okay to do.
Well, yeah, I think that's stupid. I think DEI, well, the whole DEI craze is stupid because, like, the helicopter crashes and stuff that happen were committed by white people. Like, even the air traffic control was white
Okay,
too, so they couldn't.
So that's where I'm
like a scapegoat.
So that's where
I
I'm on the
agree.
left.
Yeah.
And that's why I have a problem with Donald
Okay.
Trump. And that's why I have a problem with the right. is because
Okay.
they are
I don't
trying
like
to.
I don't like Trump either.
Well, I don't get it because you're a white nationalist, but then like they're trying to
Well,
restore white nationalism, and now you're pretending that like that's not your view.
well, because they're not. Well, I mean, if you want me to be brutally honest, because they're not doing a good job at it.
I know.
They're doing
So I
terribly.
know. So why are you just being
Like, yeah.
here's the thing I don't. Here's the thing I really like. I hate your views. I think they're abhorrent. But the thing maybe that drives me the
Okay.
most nuts about like neo Nazis is you guys are all fucking cowards. None of you will stand on business of what your views are. You only do that like in Discord and on Reddit, and then you always show up to these debates and pretend to be something that you're not. If your views are so good, why do you have to hide behind other shit? I stand 10 toes down on what my views are. You know that your views are dog shit. You know that they are, and you know you can't bring them up. In fact, you entered this conversation on false pretenses where you said Democrats and Republicans are both bad. That's what you told Jen to come up here,
Yeah,
and then it turns out you're just like a Nazi.
Exactly.
You're just a Nazi that doesn't want to admit that you're a Nazi.
Listen. There's a thing called corporatism. It's like a blend of socialism and capitalism, and it's like I think we would agree that a mixed economy is good, but no current political party is going to achieve that because it
I
would
don't
be
care about
against
political parties, though. I want to talk about ideas. And my
Okay,
my ideas and your ideas are at odds because in order for us to get the type of economy that we want, I believe that you need equality, I believe you need equity, and I believe you need diversity. And you want no equality, no equity, and no diversity. Your plan sucks. Everybody who's ever tried your plan fucking sucks. They fall apart almost immediately. I don't know if it's just fear, like you're afraid of people that look different than you, but the history of white nationalism is failure.
You're okay. Listen, you're okay. No. I do agree that the DEI stuff is bad because it's anti-pragmatic. The state should be pragmatic in who they hire and stuff like that. But like, listen. So okay, we both agree that DEI is. Well, I mean, the criticism of it is stupid. But where I disagree is that there shouldn't be. Oh fuck, what's the word? Like. The word for like just like giving it was like with college, like giving just these minorities just like freeway into college and all that stuff. What was it? Oh, I'm trying to remember.
That wasn't. Are you talking about affirmative action?
Yeah, affirmative action.
Okay, that's different than DEI,
That's
obviously.
where I disagree. I think that's a stupid like solution to
let
quote
me ask you,
unquote solving white supremacy.
Okay, the same scenario that brought up affirmative action. So affirmative action was brought to the forefront because people from poor communities, specifically minorities from poor communities, they were not given access to the same level of education, K through 12, and then in universities. So affirmative action was a way to try and correct the injustices of the past and try and take communities who had historic low education and had poor performing schools. Oftentimes you didn't have both parents in the house either because they both had to work, or you had single parents. And so it was taking people who historically had been persecuted, and that's why they were where they were, and said, like, we're going to make sure that these people, like an injustice is fixed. Do we feel that injustice has been fixed? Because I look around America and I still see that a black community is far more likely to be more poor than a white community.
Oh yeah, that's often true.
So it seems like we haven't fixed it yet. So why are we abandoning affirmative action?
Well, because
white
justice
mediocre people are bitches. That's why. Mediocre white whiny bitches. That's why.
Pushing white people down, you can't fix it by pushing just white people down and then making
that's not pushing
like
white
the minorities
people down.
now.
It's not pushing white people down.
You're making them into oppressors.
That's not pushing white people down. It is not pushing white people down. It is fixing a wrong. You can still go to school. If you were born and raised in the white suburbs, you already have a leg up. Why when as a country we held black people down for so long that we finally do something to fix it, and all of the racists are like, this isn't fair. Oh, it's not fair? These folks, their grandparents couldn't drink from the same water fountain. They didn't have public education. Their great-great-grandparents were enslaved people. And you're crying and we have a bunch
Yeah.
of people in this country
The
going,
most,
it's not fair.
yeah.
That's
There's
fucking
like,
crazy. The fragility of white people in this country is fucking wild. There is
there's
not,
like,
and that's why we're
well,
struggling
yeah,
as a country.
listen,
That's why
listen.
we're losing our foothold, because weak,
Well,
mediocre,
yeah, I agree.
conservative white people, white nationalists. You guys are just fragile. Toughen
Well, it's
up.
also okay. Okay, one point at a time. Okay, well, I mean, slave owners are like less than 3% of the current white population. Like, barely any people are descendants of
Yeah,
slave
but it
owners
doesn't. I'm
anymore.
not talking about the
Like the rest of
owners.
the world.
I'm not talking about slave owners. I'm talking about the historical
Well,
oppression
you
of black people.
yeah, well, you mentioned like historical like wealth passing down from generation to
That's not
generation.
just
Most white
slave.
people
That's
now are
not slave
descendants
owners. That's
of
also
immigrants.
landowners. That's also landowners. That's also people who had jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's people who owned homes, who owned farms, who owned acreage. And black people were
Well,
not
yeah, well,
allowed
yeah.
to do any of that for generations.
Well, the freed slaves of the North were. They had a
When
lot of
was that?
businesses up there.
What
They
year was that?
were like what? Post well, post 1880.
There we
They
go.
were. That's
When was our country founded?
yeah. Okay, well, 1776.
Okay,
I know, but
generational
okay.
wealth white people had a 100-year generational wealth head start, and even when we gave black people rights to own land, it was still impossible because we still allowed for white people to not sell them land, and we still allowed them to be discriminated against. So they didn't get to go buy the best land. They had to go places where they had the worst possible land, where people were desperate enough that they would drop their racism to sell their land to a black person. And by the way, all of these people were supposed to get 40 acres and a mule, and we're just like, nah, never mind. We're not doing that anymore.
Well, yeah. Well, okay, but that does okay. Well, but now with the process of reversing that, you're what? Okay, but do you agree with reparations then? Because I feel like
Yeah,
that's completely
absolutely.
retarded.
Yeah, why wouldn't we keep
No,
our promises?
how?
What's that?
What promises? What
40
promises?
acres and a mule.
So, okay.
Bro, how much if you had 40
And when
acres,
was that
how
said?
much would
When was
your
that said?
40 acres be worth right now? Almost anywhere. We're talking most places
Probably like
millions of dollars.
millions.
Yeah.
Millions, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
why.
why
We made a
should
promise. We
why
didn't
should
keep the
people
promise.
why should like rural bumfuck like rednecks who can barely afford their next meal be able to like give up all their money?
They won't.
They don't have any generational wealth
Rural bumfuck
or anything.
rednecks don't pay any
No.
taxes, dude. It's going to be rich people that pay for it.
Well,
Poor people.
okay.
This is another
I'm
lie.
just saying,
This is
my
another
problem-
lie that mediocre white
my
people are
problem
told.
is-
Why should I have to spend my hard-earned money? You won't. You don't pay any taxes
Exactly.
anyways. Like 50% of Americans don't actually pay taxes. This isn't going to be poor people paying reparations. It's going to be rich people
what
who
will be the
benefited from this system and who were given a head start. That's who pays.
Okay, I agree. That's who should pay.
That's how this
but
would work.
A lot of leftists don't have a clear criteria of the reparations. They just think all white people, like in general, like en masse. You know, they
Well,
just think that
I
all
can't
of them
speak
should
for
pay.
them.
And I think
I can't speak for them,
Yeah.
but you were against it. Have you never thought of this? Have you never thought of I'm against it because poor people will pay? What if poor people didn't pay? Have you never thought through that?
Well, because you keep mentioning white privilege and white oppression and all this, and you're trying to make it seem like all white people benefit, ergo they should have to pay.
I said it.
for
I
Like, it's
specifically
fucking
said it was situational. Specifically, look. The truth
Yeah,
is,
it is.
people have inherent advantages. Like I was born especially for where I lived, which was surrounded by white Mormons. Like I was like top of the top.
You're
top
from
of
Utah?
yeah, I'm from Utah. I was like top of the top athletic, right? I had advantages. I didn't have sometimes privilege exists, and it's important to make sure that it doesn't. And I got certain advantages that I probably shouldn't have gotten just because I was good at sports. And I could see one time I got pulled over doing 85 and a 25. And I was going to be late for my basketball game. The cop that pulled me over knew where I was going. I told him shit, I'm late. If I don't make it, I can't play the first half. He's like, go, don't go over 40. And he just let me go. But you could see if somebody else came down and driving their IROC with my brother, for example, looking like he did, if he got pulled over, that dude's getting thrown in jail. Sometimes privilege exists. I understand why people who don't have privilege say, like, we just need an equal playing ground. It doesn't. It makes everybody better. Having everybody have an equal position as much as we possibly can makes everybody better. That's a true meritocracy. What we have right now is a bunch of really below average Republicans screaming meritocracy while running from it.
Okay, yeah, and I agree with that because if I may, my dad has had like a similar story like that. Well, I mean, he was actually on the victim part of the cop story because my dad, well, because he's Jewish, he looks a little bit Middle Eastern, and like one time he got pulled over for having like an expired tag, and the cop just, instead of a fine or anything light, he just straight up pulled a gun on him and like told him to like get out, and he like investigated the vehicle, and then when he got home, the tag was in the mailbox. Like he could have died over that retarded cop. And I mean,
hey, don't
and I mean, I agree.
Listen. We're not going to drop slurs here. That's like one. Wait.
Oh,
we don't drop slurs here. One and only one. Let me ask you this question though. Normally I would drop you after that, but I'm because I want to know this question. How is that your dad? How do you know the history of
what do you mean?
Hold on, let me finish. That was a weird way I worded that question, so let me explain better because I understand why you're confused. Your dad had those experiences. You're Jewish. You understand the mistreatment of Jewish people all over the world. How did you become a person?
Absolutely.
How did you become a person that holds the ideas you have now? Then, how do you look through that lens, see who the oppressor is, and then join the oppressor? How did that happen? Is it just because you thought like I want to be on like team oppressor?
Well, no, because the entire world has always been against Jewish people.
I know. So why did you join the team why join the team that's against Jewish people?
Well, because the leftists are now against Jewish people. I mean,
they're
like
nobody on the left. We're not against Jewish people. We're against Netanyahu, and we're against genocide. None of us are against Jewish people.
Listen, I don't like the Israeli government either, but they say like intifada, like they want Israel gone, not just the government. Like they want Israel.
Yeah, sure. There are people who are like free Palestine. There are people who are Muslim who have been at war forever, or they want to go to war, and those people I don't agree with either. Like I'm nonviolent, but I will tell you that nobody is. I've never met a single lefty who looks at what's happening in Israel and blames Jewish people. We blame the Israeli.
They do.
No, not the people I run around with. But if they did, I would condemn them. But I'm still confused. I would condemn those on the far left that say things like that. I would condemn the people on the far right. You don't seem to have really a problem with the far right. You seem to align with the same people on the far right who are saying this. Like I'm gonna guess you like Nick Fuentes. Am I right about that?
No, I hate Nick Fuentes.
Why?
No, he's gay.
Why do you hate him?
He's a very bad representation.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, he's a very bad representation.
Right. So you're also homophobic, bro. This is crazy. You come from a family who has faced oppression historically, and you're homophobic and a white nationalist. This is crazy. I don't get how this fucking happened to you. That's crazy.
You learn something new every day,
dude. Listen, dude. Get out of it. This doesn't end well. This is not a good ideology. It's still. I know that it's fun to jump on Discord and play video games and scream the N-word and drop R slurs, and it's fun that you guys feel like you're pushing the boundaries. But this is just like teenage bullshit. And the reality is, like, you are on the side of the oppressor, and you're not actually doing any of it. You're just rooting on shitty people. You're not even part of it. You're just like, yay, shitty people. And eventually they would come for you. Eventually, the same group that you're rooting on, because it condenses and it condenses and it condenses, and eventually they'd be like, "Oh wait, you're part Jewish," and then you go.
True,
dude. You don't have to be this hateful. I promise, the world's a better place than that. You don't have to be this hateful, spiteful. Try and connect with people. Stop hating so many people for no fucking reason.
Do
it, dude.
Well, I mean,
it makes your life worse.
Okay, but the left won't really help in anything. It won't really change the system either. they're not really gonna
You do it one by one.
really help much. Because like the Democrats, they want to push towards progressivism, like the stuff that you believe, but they aren't implementing that into law. They aren't doing that. They're just using like the aesthetics of it.
I agree.
Because
I got to get back to the show. You can come back another time. Let me just say, I agree with that. I also think a Democrats' approval rating is at 26%, and I think that's too high. I agree with you. I don't think that most of the Democrats we elect give a flying fuck about the stuff we care about, and it's our job to push them left. But I'm just saying to you, like, I came from the right. I didn't make it down the alt-right pipeline. My friends did. Don't do it, man. It's not worth it. It's not. You'll regret it. You'll either wind up lonely and angry, or you'll regret it the rest of your life. Choose peace. Choose love. Choose love. Be happier. All right, brother.
Okay.
Thanks for coming by. We'll see it.
Have a good day. Yeah.
All right, I think it's this one. Let me jump back into the VC with Jen. Sorry, guys. I know some of you guys are frustrated. I apologize to those. Which is this? It's this one. That's guests. Jen, can you drag me back into that other VC? I can't see it for some reason. I know we dropped a slur, guys, and I apologize for that. I really wanted to get to the bottom of that, so gave him his one warning. So I apologize for anybody who's frustrated with that. I get it. We'll get back to the show. Red Fox says Potsy's got to go. Frankie said drop him, please. Goose said, Elon, is that you? Yeah. Welcome back to debate. Perfect said, I never use Twitch, but for your lives, I will. Thank you. I like Twitch. Tex said, you can't be a white nationalist and be a Jew. See, Tex, that's what I'm telling you, bro. If you're still here, this is a white nationalist here. He doesn't want you in his group either. I promise. Eventually, they'll just turn on you. They don't want you in their group either. That's another Nazi. Molly, thank you for joining the dollar train there. Haley said, fuck these Nazis and fuck Tex. It's like you knew that Tex was coming up. All right. I think that was all of them. Let's see if I missed any from Jen. Jackie said, what kind of jewelry does the Easter Bunny wear? 14 karat gold. Solid. Alyssa said, fuck you Nazis and fuck Tex. All right. Got it. All right, we'll get back to it now. Where were we at? Actually, I'll probably skip through. There's Alan. Sorry, I was looking at his YouTube. Jen sent me. Actually,
do announcements real fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so we've got about an hour and a half left of the show. So if you look at the top left-hand corner, I'm sure we probably need to do the math.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, so once that's up in, we need to try to knock out the gift goal by the end of the show. We do these shows Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. So if you guys could help us knock out that gift goal, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, I'll go towards knocking out that goal. If you guys want to come on to talk to Jay, like this last gentleman of a gem guy just did, how you do that is you DM me on Discord. My Discord username is the same as the Venmo. So it's Jen, JENN, DUBB, the number 1. So DM me over there and I can bring you on to talk to him. If you haven't subscribed to us already on Twitch, please do so. You can use an Amazon Prime sub. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, like the stream too. And then if you want to join as a member, we've got 4 different memberships for that. And then you can check out our link tree. We're on all kinds of socials that we've got merch. Just before sweet potatoes are mashed, they become very quiet. This is known as the silence of the yams.
Stupid. That was so stupid. Also, Sophia says, one thing I need to say, fuck Tex. Tex is banned, by the way. I'm sure he obviously has alt accounts he can get in. And sometimes he sends me messages still. I don't normally read them, but I wanted that Nazi to know that the other Nazis don't like him because he's Jewish. So that's why I read that one. Let's see. This is getting back to the trade war. This is Victor Gao. I'm bad. I want you to hear what he says about China. We showed you yesterday how China has been preparing for this for a long time. They've been decoupling from the United States to the point now where we make up like 2%, basically 2.5% of their economy. China's prepared; they're ahead of the game, and they have the leverage. And I think that Trump needs to cave, and that's scary. Trump and the United States leaders absolutely should go to China. We absolutely should acknowledge that China has surpassed us, and we should work with China to catch up. And China would be great. China would be fine doing that. But we have a pride thing. Like, we're like, well, America's number one. We have to be number one. So we're not going to go to China, especially with this administration, and be like, hey, let's work together. Can we catch up to some of the amazing shit that you guys have been doing? We're not going to do that. But here's what China is basically telling Trump. They're just saying, fuck you. We don't need you.
As the government has declared, and China has now imposed the retaliatory tariff up to 125% against all U.S. exports to China. Now, if things are not handled well, this means complete stop of China-U.S. trade, both ways. No goods exported from the United States to China, and complete stop of everything made in China to the United States. This is decoupling. If the United States wants to really welcome this, China will reciprocate, and causing the breakup of China-US relations. Whether this will evolve from peace to war, well, let's all be prepared. In essence, what China now declares is that it is prepared to fight to the end. Trade war, tariff war, technology war, or real war. So the ball is in Trump's court. You decide, and I will reciprocate. I will never succumb to the US pressure. And this is the moment of truth. China wants to defend free trade. The United States wants to destroy free trade.
Right.
The rest of the world is watching, and there will be a choice by the end of the day. For China, you cannot hold a gun to China's head and issue ultimatum and demand all the impossibilities, for example, and ask China to swallow that. China is the country.
Yo, Gringo Loco, we desperately need China. We desperately need China. You're probably just poorly informed. We even if we decouple from China, it's gonna be some difficult times in this country for a while.
That values dignity and decency and honor more than economic gains or economic losses. So if you want to hold a gun at China's head, China will hold a gun at your head. If you want to strike China in the cheek, China will strike you back. That's the decision and the determination of the Chinese nation. This is not belligerency. This is the minimum decency you need to apply to international relations. How can you demand other countries? I will slap you in the face. Don't slap me back. Otherwise, I will punish you more. That's the law of the jungle. The trade war launched by Trump is wrong. It's the wrong war. It's the war against mankind. MAGA, or Make America Great Again, is fine. But you cannot achieve that at the expense of other countries. You cannot achieve your greatness by belittling, by delegating or relegating other countries to the lowest echelon of the hierarchy. Every country has its ambition. Every country wants to be in the first front.
Oh, I'm sorry. Audio's down. Sorry.
First round, for example, and no country should be allowed to trample rules of free trade, to trample international order, and to dictate to others, to issue ultimatum, to hold a gun at your head, to demand submission to my will. This is the law of the jungle. And
if you're China, this is what I think a lot of Trump supporters maybe are missing, and I'm going to try and say this in the nicest way. I don't know how to if I can do it. Donald Trump runs and controls everything on your side of the aisle. And Donald Trump won this election in 2024. Republicans maintain the House and the Senate. And so Donald Trump has full control. So you guys are used to Donald Trump saying whatever he says gets done. The reason he can do that is because nobody else in this country has power. So he can do things that I feel and our side feels hurts America, and there's not really much that we can do about it, right? Because he has all three branches of government, essentially. China isn't in the United States. When Trump tells them what to do and they don't do it, there's no real repercussions for them. The repercussions are only coming on us. And this is why, like, I'm not trying to be pro-China. I'm fine with China. I think what they've done is fucking incredible. And I think that we should look at the places they've had success and find places where we can replicate things that they do. And the things that we don't like that they did, we shouldn't replicate. But what they're essentially saying and what they're going to keep doing is they're calling Donald Trump's bluff. They're just saying, like, I remember in high school, there was this friend of mine played at a different school, and their basketball team kind of sucked. And they were playing this really, really good basketball team. They were in the playoffs. Their coach knew they couldn't win the game. But there was no shot clock in Utah basketball at the time. So for the entire second half, it was a 1 point game. They got a 1 point lead. And for basically the entire second half, and this team also played a zone, my friend sat at half court and he just dribbled the basketball. And I think he wound up like dribbling it for like 8 minutes, and they wouldn't come out of the zone. China can afford this. And they never came out of their zone because they're like, it doesn't matter. We're going to get the ball at some point. We're going to win the game. All we have to do is foul you. We can just start fouling you. We'll win the game. They wound up winning the game. They waited him out. My friend's team tried to call their bluff to get him out of the zone. They're like, no, we're not going to do it. And they won the game. China has all the cards. Trump keeps talking about leverage like we have it. We don't. That's why China's talking like this. 10 years ago, China would probably capitulate. And we're used to, as America, looking at these other countries, and we have all the leverage. So we're like, do what we say, and they do it. And what I think maybe a lot of you haven't recognized is that China doesn't need to bend. You think Trump waiting them out is going to win? Like, you think like, oh, he'll wait them out. China will give in eventually. No, they won't. They don't have to. And the longer this trade war goes on, the more it hurts us and the more it benefits them. This is the dumbest fucking trade war I've ever seen. China is doing great. China's signing new contracts all around the world. We're not. China's calling our bluff, and they're going around and they're undercutting us with all these countries who Trump just overnight slapped tariffs on. And they don't love Trump like you do. They don't love America like you do. Let's be honest about this. If I want to have a nice steak dinner, do I want to buy my steaks from America? Fuck no. If I want the world's best pizza, America? No. If I want even canned goods, America? No. I don't want the additives. Nobody wants to buy American products. The only products that people really like are things that are where we can create a brand out of it. Things like Nike, like I guess Adidas is mostly here, but that's what made it popular. Apple. All these companies are brands and then services. But the stuff we actually make here, people don't want. So China's going to all these countries and they're saying like, hey, we'll give you that iPhone that you have to buy from Apple? Well, they slap tariffs on us, so why the fuck are we going to worry about their intellectual property? We have no trade agreement. Here's an iPhone that doesn't have an Apple on it. We'll just put a banana on the back of it. It's the same fucking phone. You get it for $600 instead of $1,300 now. If you sign the trade deal with us, all those goods that you get in America, we'll sell them to you cheaper because we can. Because we don't have capitalists marking it up 10x. They have all of the leverage. And for all of you who are like, oh, capitalism's the way to go. Whoops. Now capitalism is a problem for us. Now all these rich billionaires are a problem for us. Now the people that own stocks are a problem for us. Because China can undercut all of it. So unless we have a bunch of rich people suddenly say, like, we're not going to make money off this anymore, unless Tim Apple says, you know what, we're not going to pay out dividends, we're not going to pay out our executives, we're not going to pay out bonuses, because we have to keep up. We have to keep up with China. Oh, and by the way, we also have to make all of our plants here now, and that's going to take a few years. We have zero leverage against China. Dude, you and other people need to get a Chinese passport. You need to wake the fuck up. I don't want to go to China. I would like to stay here. This is what all of you do. Like, can you just Think about what I'm saying right now. Instead of, like, I know that I'm saying mean things about Trump. I know that I'm saying he's an idiot. But could you just be honest? What happens if we don't have China anymore? And what happens if China undersells all of all the people we export goods to? Then what? I don't think you guys understand the gravity of the situation that we're in. We have a global economy, and we helped create a global economy, and we rely heavily on a global economy. And those trade deals that we have are beneficial to us, and they're mostly lopsided in our favor because of decades of leverage. And now we don't have the leverage. They do. They will win. I'll show you some stuff here in a minute. In fact, let's get to it. Let me show you this map. Jen, I'm going to go down to the farmers and tariffs. I think that's where it was. Or no, the China stuff. Let me find. Is it this one? Yeah. Whoops. I didn't mean to click on that.
Had the United States as their... If you take a look at this map right here, you can see all the countries shaded in with blue had the United States as their #1 trading partner back in the year 2000.
Okay. We have not updated, Republicans, I can tell you as a former Republican, we have not updated the base. We didn't update the Republicans. When George Bush was president, this is what the world looked like. And we were winning. And we were winning because of this, because of global trade. We dominated global trade across the globe. And that's what allowed us to accumulate so much wealth. And that's what, like those tech companies that were coming out, that's what allowed us to accumulate that. And what happened is we had so many people in America who saw the tech boom and wanted to become millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires that we offshored our jobs to China, giving them access to the technology we were developing and then saying, you guys need to build this up. And then we continued to profit in this way. Like we continued to let capitalism blow the fuck up. And wealth inequality was exasperated. Meanwhile, China over here on the right, there we go. China over here had a different idea. China said, the U.S. is ahead of us. And now that we've got now that they've offshored their manufacturing, as we learn to manufacture, we will also learn robotics. We will also learn AI. We will also learn manufacturing. And all of these companies in China, as they were experiencing a manufacturing boom, their tax money and tax revenue, which is at a higher percentage than over here, was going back into R&D. The Chinese government was subsidizing R&D, subsidizing manufacturing, subsidizing clean energy, subsidizing renewable energy, subsidizing manufacturing of goods. That's why you didn't see a bunch of people. But I think that guy in that last clip said something like, the middle class in China is bigger than the entire population of the United States. We may have more billionaires. We may have people that have accumulated more wealth, but their middle class is thriving in China. And it's because they looked at this as a country, as a collective. We're going to do this together. We will become a world power, economic power, and it will benefit all of us. It will raise everybody. As we grow in China, we will raise the standard of living. During this time, from 2000 to 2024, you've also seen a sharp decline in things like slave labor, slave wages. We're still telling stories from like the early 2000s, pretending that China hasn't updated. They have. And they have a checkered past just like every country does, just like we do. And so now we're stuck in this position as America where we can't replicate what China does unless we have really, really cheap labor. And we're also exporting all of our cheap labor. We're deporting all of our cheap labor. Every decision we're making right now makes no sense, but watch where we go from 2000 to now.
Back in the year 2000. And then
we're on the brink of a massive recession without this trade war. Adam, we have a completely fraudulent economy. Stop pointing the finger. You guys are so afraid to address reality. We live in a completely fraudulent market. Our stock market is totally phony. We are now investing in crypto, which is another fraudulent market, and we've created enemies of most of our allies. You guys are so afraid to look in the mirror. Stop pointing at other countries. They're bad, so that means we're good. We're fucked. We are currently in a very fucked position. And if Trump doesn't fix it fast, we're fucked.
Countries shaded in red, their number one trading partner was China. Here's how the map has changed in 24 years. In 2024, all the countries shaded in the red had their largest trading partner as China.
All right, John Gotti, let's talk about it. John Gotti says, China's freaking the fuck out. They can't sell shit. You guys are being fed such bullshit. I feel bad for you. Are they freaking out? Because they seem to be able to sell a lot of shit. John, I don't know if you were here earlier. Sales to America make up 2.5% of their GDP. We need them more than they need us. And as much as that hurts our pride to say, I would prefer it was the other way around. It is reality. They are not freaking the fuck out. They prepared for this. They're capitalizing on this. We're losing. We're getting our dicks kicked in this trade war. And the only reason you guys think that we're not is because you love Trump. There it is, Jerry. Thank you, President Trump, for giving China all the power. You're celebrating the demise of America because you like this big orange moron. He's fucking the whole thing up, but you guys are you're too arrogant to admit that you were wrong. This is bad. They own everything. And by the way, they're probably going to get Canada too. They're probably going to get Mexico too. They're probably going to get Central America too. That's why this little red part, that's why in the Panama Canal, we're trying to take control of it. But China's already figured out a way to bypass the Panama Canal. Mexico right now is you want to go to Mexico and get a $13,000 electric vehicle? You can do it. It's BYD. It's better than anything else we have anywhere near that. It's better than a $30,000 Tesla. You can get it for 10 grand, 13 grand down in Mexico. China's winning, and we're not making, like, look at the places where China's not winning. And what's Trump saying about those places? Trump really is shitting on Europe. Do you think the Europeans aren't looking at China right now going, oh, that's a better trade partner? He loves taking shits on South America and Central America. You don't think they're looking at China right now and going, you know what? China seems to trade a little more fairly and at a fraction of the price. Maybe we'll go to China. You guys fundamentally don't understand leverage. That's why that's why red states vote for Trump. They never teach you this stuff. I'm teaching you, and you're unwilling. And that's fine. One by one, we'll pluck you guys off. But this is bad.
And all the countries shaded in blue, their largest trading partner was the United States. And when we take a look at all of China's exports, the United States doesn't make up that much. So when they say that they don't care if the United States no longer purchases products from them, they mean they don't care because they have the rest of the world. The Trump administration needs to take a really good look at this map and realize that the little countries left that are shaded in blue, threatening tariffs on them isn't going to help you. It's like Trump is fighting so hard to push away what little countries there are left actually entertaining the United States.
I love that. Yeah, but China doesn't protect them. Well, Trump is telling all these other countries we're not going to protect them anymore either. Do you see how every step of the way, Trump is taking the wrong position? And I mean, you could be conspiratorial and say he's doing the bidding of Russia. That's fine. But I think it's not that deep. I think that he wants to win. And the only way that Trump knows how to win is by bullying. Look at his political history. How did he win the Republican nomination? He bullied all the other nominees. He said awful things about them. He lied about them. He smeared them. He sat on stage. He called them losers. He called them low energy. He said their dads killed JFK, called their wives ugly. How did he campaign against Hillary? He just bullied her. Then he gets beat by Joe Biden because, fortunately for Joe Biden, Trump had to run on his own record, and then Trump runs again, and he won't even go debate. He just bullies people from Twitter. You guys are so in lockstep. You guys don't care what he does. He didn't even show up and debate. You guys didn't even hold a real primary. You get mad at us about our primary. You didn't hold a real primary. You never asked Trump to debate on stage. People were debating an empty chair, and you still voted for him because he bullies people. He can't bully the world anymore. We're not who we once were. This doesn't work anymore. And Trump is too arrogant to realize that. He thinks he's going to be able to bully himself towards a win. The damage is done, by the way. The United States is no longer the world economic power. That's over. We've got a few more years where we're going to be slightly ahead, but you look at the trend lines, it's over. It's not happening. And my biggest concern is that Trump is going to destroy all these relationships. And then how are we going to convince these people to work with us again? We promise we'll never elect another Trump again. And then they'll be like, well, you did it twice, though. You elected him twice, though. So they're not going to trust our electorate either. Rory said, Jay, there are those of us that listen. Thanks, Rory. I appreciate that. Dad's Not Crab said, keep it up. European Americans will only hear this from European Americans. Thank you. That was from earlier. I appreciate that. I read that earlier, Dabs. I apologize for not reading that out loud. Jen says, did I miss something? Oh, she got that one. All right. Moving on. I think I did that one. All right. I'm going to go to, we talked about Eric Prince yesterday, and this just applies to China.
China views itself as the center of the...
This is another reason why we struggle, is because conservatives, you guys went on this war on woke, and China is not woke. China doesn't beat us because we're too woke. China beats us because they negotiate better trade deals. Eric Prince is going to try and convince you on Sean Ryan's show, who Sean Ryan is just like straight up Christian nationalist now. It's wild. Watch Eric Prince try and explain this. And this is the problem that every Republican has. I don't think people are buying this shit. Nobody that has any economic sense.
China views itself as the center of the universe, the middle kingdom.
Just like we do.
And so they're trying to restore themselves to that kind of...
Just like, see how he's just like putting Trump's words into China? America sees themselves as the center, and they're trying to restore themselves. He's just literally saying that China's doing what Trump is doing, which isn't really true.
Of grandeur in world leadership. And the question is, does America want to be, are they comfortable being pushed into second place by a lot of, I would say, self-inflicted wounds to ourselves? Or are we going to rally and organize and do what made America effective and free and wealthy, and return to those basic values and focuses? Or do we continue on this woke nightmare and drive ourselves into second or third or worse place?
What do you think is going to happen?
Elections do have consequences, and they have to have consequences. And I think the most important thing to focus on in the next election is control.
This was pre-election, by the way, so that's why it sounds like this.
Bureaucracy, to actually have accountability for the federal government. Because I think the real constitutional crisis is we're supposed to have 3 branches of government, right? Executive, legislative, judiciary, but we have 4. We have a permanent state bureaucracy that's accountable to no one, that Congress can yell at and not really change anything. The White House can yell at, but can't hire and fire most of the bureaucrats under its wing. CIA.
I'd just like to point out something. The bureaucracy has fucking nothing to do with trade. Eric Prince, by the way, is a dual citizen now, and Eric Prince is going all over the world. These exact countries that he's talking about, he's working with them, building up private militaries. This bureaucracy thing that you guys all fell for, that the real problem in our country was bureaucracy, you got duped. You got duped really, really bad. The bureaucracy, this cutting or this funding that Elon says he cut, it has benefited you zero. And instead, while you were focused on that, China's just beating us up all over the world.
It's different. Actually, CIA and the Peace Corps are the only 2 federal agencies in Washington where civil service rules don't necessarily apply. So the director can change and fire quickly. So the CIA should be quick to fix under right leadership. But beyond call it reform and control of the civil service bureaucracy, and to pare it down, right? I hate the fact that the 5 counties surrounding Washington are per capita the wealthiest in the country. That's a very unhealthy sign that much wealth is sponged off the imperial city to the detriment of the rest of the country where
It's literally how he makes his money. He's filthy fucking rich and he makes it off of government contracts. It's crazy. He's like, oh, these people are fucking leeches. This is a leech. He does not exist without government contracts. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, this is what's crazy about the right. Like, that's the very person who is causing the problem will sit in front of your face and say, everybody that's exactly like me is the problem, but I'm not the problem. By the way, did Elon cut any funding for the military or for private contractors? He didn't? Oh, okay.
actual normal work is done. And the second thing is, I think we have to restore competitiveness in competition inside America. The Federal Trade Commission and the antitrust parts of the government have to be cleaned out and reworked, and the amount of monopolies or duopolies or oligopolies, right? Where you have a couple of companies that have such control over the markets that it squeezes all the competition, right? Look at the beef industry. All the beef in America is processed by, I think, 4 major processors. All the farmers who do the hardest part of the work for years, months and years at a time, they absolutely get screwed because all the processors are controlled by those big 4. Okay? Whether it's big beef.
And nobody wants to buy our meat, right? I can cut it off there. I just wanted to point, like, so this is the messaging that you guys get. This is how Republicans get to this stage where they're doing a bunch of shit that doesn't make sense, that's hurting Americans. Because you can watch the person who's gutting our government right in front of you and steal it. I mean, this guy's stealing. Really. The Pentagon doesn't pass a budget. We have no clue where his money goes. In fact, we know for sure that some of the money that we've given him has just gone to murder innocent people. People wound up going to prison for that. He was run out of Blackwater. This is the guy that founded Blackwater, by the way, in case any of you don't know. That company that was like the boogeyman until Trump got back in office, and now suddenly they're American heroes. Suddenly the right's not talking about Blackwater so much anymore. These are the heroes. They lie to your face. They tell you it's about wokeism. They tell you it's about everything but the reality. And the reality is it's capitalism. It's always capitalism. Every fucking time it's capitalism. And they just sell you on this idea that it's wokeism. That's what's problematic. It's not. These are 2 rich guys telling you that it's not rich people's fault, which is exactly what you would say if you were a rich person who didn't want to have to give any of your money back. Brianna said, how much to buy your meat? I only sell to China now. Sorry. You can pay. You have to pay through the yen. I'm not convinced that the dollar will hold its value long enough. Let's see over here. There we go. My dogs are going crazy. Kristen's, is that Kirsten? Do you think our empire will end if trade ends? No. There's still 330 million people in America. It's still a massive country. We still have access to a lot of resources. And it still matters. We still have a massive military. My hope is that, Trump, I think, is just going to crash this. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And a bunch of people are going to make a lot of money. He'll bail out his rich donors, and a lot of people will lose their homes. A lot of people will lose their savings. We will have a lot of people that are poor, and then I think America will change their ways. I think this is the end of the American empire as we know it. I think this is likely the end of crony capitalism as we know it, because it's going to crash. It's going to be significant. And there's enough people now that are aware and comfortable with stuff that can prevent this that I think will make some significant changes. I think we'll get universal health care. I think we'll focus on education. I'm hoping that we focus on rebuilding trade agreements and rebuilding our standing in the world, which is likely going to mean that we're going to have to negotiate peace deals. Hopefully we can negotiate down the amount of money that we're spending on the military. And we can get back to being a country that, I don't know, get back. We can maybe for the first time get to being a country who doesn't think that they're the world's police. they told you that's what they were going to do. Trump told you guys like, oh, we're not going to be the world's police anymore. We are. We still are. That's desperately what they want. So I think that's how this ends. Unless Trump pulls off a miracle. I mean, there's still a chance Trump could bully all these people, like they could for some reason not understand leverage either, or maybe he threatens them with war. I mean, that's my biggest concern is I think that's what he's left with. If you look at what Trump's negotiating tools and what he has left in his bag, he basically has total capitulation or military intervention. And I don't feel confident that Trump wouldn't use military intervention rather than admit that he was wrong, just simply because he's 80 years old and he's never once admitted he was wrong in his entire life. So the chance that he'll start now, I don't think there's a good chance of that. I think that it's likely he's just going to drag us into war. And hopefully the American people see through it. Hopefully all of you guys who said that you were anti-war and you were anti-interventionist and you didn't want to be the world's police, hopefully you guys weren't just lying to us and aren't Trump sycophants. Hopefully you'll stand up to him. I don't have a ton of faith in that, but I hope you guys do that. Jesus Christ, my dogs are going crazy. I'm sorry if you guys can hear that. There must be somebody delivering a package. Somebody said that we're not. I just want to point out that even militarily we lose to China. This is Pete Hegseth. You guys might know him as the Secretary of Defense. I've showed this before, but some of you haven't been here. Here's Pete Hegseth on what would happen if we went to war with China.
The Pentagon is in the book, the exact amount of years, but in the past X number of years, 10, 12, 15, the Pentagon has a perfect record in all of its war games against China. We lose every time inside the Pentagon war games. We know what our real capability. You see, we didn't even get to this part of the war on warriors. I mean, the military-industrial complex, the way we procure weapon systems, we're always, the way our system works, the way our bureaucratic system works, where the speed of weapons procurement works, we're always a decade behind in fighting the last war. Whereas China, we have, what did Rumsfeld say? You go to the war of the army you have. We have the army. China's building an army specifically dedicated to defeating the United States of America. That is their strategic outset. Take hypersonic missiles. So if our whole power projection platform is aircraft carriers and the ability to project power that way strategically around the globe, and yeah, we have a nuclear triad and all of that, but a big part of it. And if 15 hypersonic missiles can take out our 10 aircraft carriers in the first 20 minutes of a conflict, what does that look like?
Yeah.
I mean, and if they've already got us by the balls economically, which you pointed out very well, with our grid, culturally, there's plenty of elite capture going on around the globe. I mean,
you guys are blah, blah, blahing your Secretary of Defense. Blah, blah, blah. He's saying that we'll lose, and I don't believe we'll ever lose. It's your Secretary of Defense. You guys love this fucking guy. You were all hyped on this guy, and he's saying China will kick our ass. They have more troops. They have better technology. They're way ahead of us. Every time we do the war games, we lose. 50 out of 50 times. That's not good. We can't win. You guys overestimate. I mean, it's the plight of the MAGA. They overestimate themselves all the time. Ivory said, I'm not sold on universal health care. How would we, what'd you say? How would we create fixes for the problems universal healthcare systems have? We have worse problems. Here's the best healthcare in the world. There's a list. You'll see that the United States is at 69th. All of these countries have universal healthcare. All of these, they all pay less. Most of them have. You know who has the highest waiting times for seeing a specialist? Canada. You know who's two? United States. But they sell you on this fear that it's universal health care that causes long wait times. That's not why Canada has long wait times. It's clearly not why we have long wait times, right? It's access to care. It's barriers to entry as far as like getting into medicine. We have to stop being afraid. We're the only country that does it this way, and we are dog shit at universal health care. It is a propaganda machine that's been running for 60 years in this country, run by the pharmaceutical companies that they pay off Republicans and Democrats alike to make sure that we keep private health care. They say things like, well, we'll lose jobs, our stock prices will drop. You can't do this. We can't have, it's not freedom, that's socialism. Whatever they did to scare you, they're all fucking better at it. I'll tell you. I am. If I break my leg tomorrow, I'm probably going to have to like sell my house or figure out a way to take money out of my house to pay for it. That only exists here. There are people that have health insurance through their company. They have a family. The out-of-pocket deductible before they can even use their health care often is between $10,000 and $15,000 just for the privilege to use health care. Just for the privilege. And then there's a cap. Then, heaven forbid, you go over, maybe your cap's 500,000. And now you've gone over 500,000. Now you have to cover everything after that. So you pay the first 15,000 for the privilege to use it. They cover up the next up to 500,000. Then after that, you're on your own. It's the world's dumbest fucking system. Why should somebody make $1 off of writing a check to your doctor? And 80% of the money that we pay healthcare companies doesn't go towards care. 20% of the money goes towards care. Can you imagine that? You give your healthcare company $100. For every $100 you give them, $20 of that goes to take care of people. The other $80 goes for administrative fees, for bonuses, for CEO pay, for stock dividends, for trips for their sales reps, for a number of things. We have the worst fucking healthcare system in the world, and the only reason that it still is semi-functioning is because we make a lot of money. And that's it, and that's ending. Capitalism should only apply to things that operate within free market principles. Healthcare doesn't operate inside of free market principles because there's no limit to what you will pay to keep somebody alive. People don't go, oh shit, that cancer treatment for my child's going to be $3 million. I don't know. I'm not going to pay that. I'm not going to pay $3 million. I just let my kid die. No, of course not. They're like, I will go into financial ruin. I will make it so that I can never afford a house. I will be in debt the rest of my life just so my kid can live. And that in the great freedom, that's freedom, baby. That's the United States of America. You are free to have your life ruined if your child gets cancer. Incredible stuff we do here. We have been fed so full of shit that we are a great country in so many ways. We're not that great, guys. We should be better. And that's why conservatism sucks. Because conservatism is looking at our country right now, watching everybody pass us by and go, you know what we should do? We should go back to the shit from before that didn't work. Let's just try that. I know everybody else is doing it differently and they're surpassing us, so maybe we should just go backwards. Let's bring back manufacturing. Let's put children back in the mines. Let's put children back in the meat packing plants. Let's do that. I'm tired of these countries passing us up by doing things that make sense. How many people have insurance and still don't go to the doctor because they can't afford the copays and deductibles? Everyone. All right, moving on.
I'm going to do one more announcement before the end of the show. And there's a couple people that I noticed in the comments were talking about getting a job. So I figured it'd be a good time for an announcement. So this is our job. Fun fact. So how we do this is we're crowdfunded. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats all go towards helping us keep this going. So if you guys could help us out, knock out the rest of the balance before the end of the show, we go till 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys could do that, we would appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed to us on Twitch and YouTube, please do so. And please check out our link tree for other socials that we're on in our merch store. So if you guys could, like I said, we've got about 45 minutes left now that I look at that. So if you guys could help out, if you can, that would be great. So a guy knocked on my door today asking for donations for the local swimming pool. So I just gave him a glass of water.
Ban Seth forever. Seth, bye, bitch. Seth Anders is banned forever. No mute, just banned forever. Thanks, Seth. I'm sorry that trans people will bother you, but try and get it together. All right. Here we go. Now, here's after all of this, and we'll end up with some Chinese stuff. Like Jen said, if you could help us out knocking out that gift goal, that would be great. We are a little behind normal. I know we get caught up in the show. This is Sean Duffy. Now, one of the big problems we have in America is that we are behind technologically. And one of the ways that we are most behind technologically is through clean energy. Clean energy is the future. It's what everybody in the world wants. If we want to be a net exporter, we need to do clean energy. We need to have renewable energy. Sean Duffy is just a fucking idiot. I drove an electric car this weekend, and it was not a very nice electric car, and it was amazing. I drove it from the airport to Seaside, and then when I instead of gassing up, I went to this restaurant. I ate lunch there, and they had a charging station, and they just charged my car for free. I didn't have to pay to fill it up. I drove something like 350 miles over the course of the weekend. I didn't pay a dime for gas. It was so cool. That's a much better way to do things. Anyway, here's Sean Duffy saying, "Hey, I ain't one of those libs. I'm not doing clean energy. I'm not going to do the thing that makes the most sense. We're going to do coal."
Not only that, they put charging stations into this project, Stuart. We pulled those charging stations out, and what we've done across the grants that we give, I'm not doing green. I'm not doing social justice. We're building infrastructure. The last administration wanted all these green and social justice requirements that drive up the cost of projects. We've said no more. We're doing roads, bridges, this infrastructure at the southern border. But enough of the side projects. Make the investments, spend the taxpayer money well. Enough of the green, enough of the social justice. And so I think we're going to get more for the taxpayer money because we're focused the cash on infrastructure, not on social policy or Democrat liberal policy. Not only
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take these conservatives losing their minds in the chat one more time. First of all, the place that I charged was solar. And those solar panels were probably made with, I'd imagine, coal energy. That's the point. When you switch energy sources, you have to build out the infrastructure first. This is how they dupe you guys into getting nothing good. In order for the United States to build out renewable energy, we are going to have to use fossil fuels to build the infrastructure. The energy doesn't just show up and build itself. The way that you get off fossil fuels is by using fossil fuels to build renewable energy. When you guys say things like, "Oh, clean energy, you're just a puppet." You're fucking puppets. You know how we got roads? Do you know how we got roads for gas-powered cars for the combustible engine? We made roads with horse and buggy. We used the existing energy source to create infrastructure so a new energy source could take over. I have solar panels on my house. How did I get those? I got them by using the energy source that existed to create them, but now I use less carbon emissions. Or I guess I create less carbon emissions. I use less fossil fuels because now I have solar on my house. I don't know if any of you have ever thought, maybe I should, the answer is, how do you get renewable energy? You have to use the existing energy, so fuck it. You never thought, for 2 seconds, you ever thought, what's the next step? You know why states like California, Massachusetts, even Arizona, you know why our carbon footprint goes down? Because we're doing renewable energy. And it takes time. And China did it. China's 15 years ahead of us. And here we got this moron saying, I'm not going to do that. You know where you're not going to be able to sell gas-powered cars in 10 years? Fucking anywhere. What are you going to sell them to countries that are underdeveloped? Is that our plan? That we're going to send it to, we're just going to sell our cars now. We're going to make cheap cars for countries that don't have renewable energy. Is that our manufacturing plan now? The demand for gas-powered cars is going down. And this administration's like, let's pump up that production, baby. Everybody wants electric vehicles. And this administration goes, no, we're the real trendsetters. Everybody's going to want coal-powered cars. Thanks, Rory, for starting the dollar train. What the fuck are we talking about here? What are we talking? Of course, renewable energy is the way to go. And here's let's see, is this the right one? Yeah, here we go. This was, I think this was 10 years ago.
Human-caused global.
This the one? 7 years ago. This was during the Trump administration. And this is something that conservatives didn't argue with back then, actually. Weirdly enough, somehow solar and renewable energy got looped into wokeness. And so now you guys just morally are against clean energy, which is fucking crazy. You don't want a car that you don't have to put gas in? You don't want to breathe cleaner air. You don't want to stop paying an electric bill. You don't want your house to be solar powered. You just want to keep feeding money into the oil companies. For what reason? This was 7 years ago.
Global warming is basically an accepted fact in most parts of said globe. 147 countries have signed and ratified the Paris Agreement, meaning they're taking steps to keep the climate from warming more than 2 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial levels. But one of the biggest polluters has just announced they're backing out of the agreement. Can you guess who it is? That's right, it's us. Or the US if you're not us.
This was us pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord.
While that will be catastrophic for the world because of the whole sea level rise and droughts and hurricanes thing, it could also be a serious blunder for the US economically. Saving the planet means changing how we produce and use energy. 2 favorite alternative sources are solar and wind. If the whole world is going to want these renewables, then whoever can make the best, cheapest, most efficient solar panels or wind turbines will win. It's a win-win, if you will. And that brings us back to the United States and our will they or won't they relationship with accepting climate change. While other nations invest tens to hundreds of billions in renewables, we could be stuck offering a product that nobody wants anymore. Eventually,
7 years ago, 7 years, and we reversed it. Joe Biden's like, we're going to do renewable energy, and all the Republicans and all the Democrats are like, yeah, let's do it. And we passed the infrastructure bill, and then Trump just came in. They started ripping out EV charging stations. This is legitimately like, you guys are ideologically against electric vehicles just because you're told to. And the only reason you're told to is because of oil companies. I want dirtier air, and I don't want people driving American cars. We tried to catch up with China, and we were making good progress. Not with you guys anymore.
If we do come around, we'll likely have to rely on importing technology that was developed elsewhere. Considering an American invented the solar cell in 1941, that's a heck of a lead to blow. So if we're not taking the lead on this, who is? China. China has plenty of coal to meet their needs, so you might think they, like coal and natural gas-loving America, would be inclined to just keep on burning it. But Chinese cities are famously polluted, and it's hard to ignore when cities of tens of millions of people ask if they can just breathe a little bit better, please. China has answered in a big way. They started with a 5-year plan to raise wind output nearly 63% and more than double solar production by 2020. They're also constructing 20 new nuclear power plants with more planned, using and improving on technology from the West. According to one report, they could spend as much as $782 billion to meet their emissions targets by 2030. Why isn't the US following suit? In a word, politics. Somehow, climate science has become a partisan issue over here, and conservatives tend to write it off as a liberal cause.
So, which is another weird thing. Like, it's not a partisan issue in other countries. That's what's wild about this. Like, it's only here. And do you know why it's only a partisan issue here? Because we're the only ones that allow oil corporations to lobby our federal government. We're the only ones that allow this type of lobbying. Because at some point, Republican conservative justices said corporations are people and super PACs don't need rules. And so they can spend whatever they want. We're the only ones. Every other country recognizes that this is good. It's better for their people, and it is the future, but not here because we have one party and then people in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Democrats from coal states that are being lobbied to keep those coal jobs alive. We're the only ones that do this.
Many conservatives see solutions to global warming as something that could hurt the economy. Basically, environmental restrictions can get in the way of businesses doing business. However, there are some on the right that see an economic opportunity with solving some issues surrounding man-made global warming. Debbie Dooley, a founder of the far-right Tea Party, is a big advocate for solar power and has gotten bans on solar lifted in Georgia because she believes consumers should have a choice. James Kaysen, the Republican mayor of Coral Gables, Florida, believes people everywhere should worry about sea level rise because of how much our economy is dependent on goods coming in and out of ports. Even if you don't believe in climate change, investing in renewable energy is a smart thing to do. It's what the rest of the world is demanding, and the first rule of sales is to give the people what they want. Investing in solar and wind could not only save the world as we know it, but we could make a buck while we're at it. And what's more American than that? Environmentalism may be a partisan issue now, but it didn't used to be this way. Matt Morales follows how we got to this point in his video here. So even if you're a climate change skeptic...
So we'll skip that. So that was 7 years ago. One of the things that I think conservatives get right, and I think historically there has been like some fear mongering about, and I'm not an expert on this, so there's probably some some blind spots for me here, is nuclear energy. And weirdly enough, like Republicans seem to be mostly on board. In fact, if you're a Republican here, will you raise your hand if you're on board with nuclear energy? I find this is one of those places where like we don't usually have like a huge disagreement. And did somebody say that? They hear nuclear and go, "Oh no." Yeah, some people do that. But nuclear energy is important. Just is nuclear energy safe? Yes, nuclear energy is extremely safe. I think Republicans will agree most of the time that nuclear energy, like nothing is safe. Like no energy production is totally safe. There's problems with all of it. But yeah, China has been working on this, and they
Vehicles
are
most recently.
way ahead of us. Is this where I wanted to go? I skipped most of this video. Most of the first part of this video is just explaining like kind of the history of nuclear and renewable energy and how it works. I highly recommend this actually. It helped me understand fusion. But I wanted to get to the part where we are in a nuclear race with China and how far ahead of us they are there. Like they're already ahead on renewable energy. They're already ahead of us on electric vehicles. They're already ahead of us on solar, wind, power, hydro. They're ahead of us everywhere. And they're also way ahead on nuclear too. We love talking about private investment, free market, and enterprise. Private equity is inflated in America. China is outspending us, but this money that China's spending, their government funding, this money they don't take out profits. There's no venture capitalists where the money comes in and then they exit and you have to pay them because the price of your stock went up. So China, the way that China is investing in all of these renewable energies, which is what we should have done, is by doing it through government spending and sharing in the royalties and using those royalties to invest in other projects or to invest in education, the money stays with the people and it can be spread out. When you use just private funding, you're talking about untold percentages here that go to private equity, that go to pay dividends, that go to pay obviously higher wages, acquisition costs, all of this, acquiring new companies. All of this private funding is not near as efficient. That's one of the problems that we have here in trying to build out infrastructure and new technologies using private funding. Is just too much of that private funding goes out the door in the name of profits. And in China, the way that they do it, they're saying like, hey, you can make money off this. We'll fund it for you, but like we're going to get some of that back too, so we can keep funding future projects. And the Dollar Train solely said, Jen told me so. Brian, thank you very much. Trudy said, apparently Superchargers is making me go in increments. Trudy also said, testing. There you go. Again, thank you, Trudy. And then Rory said, starting the Dollar Train. The Belt and Road Initiative, that's how China has become like the global player. That's how they now are a bigger exporter than we are. This is how they did it. The thing is like I know that we're afraid of the word socialism and communism in this country, and I mean I've had like a million people already be like, "Oh, go to China, commie." It takes a small-minded person to watch what China's doing and see the way that they're doing it and dismiss it entirely because you've heard that communism is bad. If it's so bad, why does everybody choose it over what we do? Some form of socialism. Virtually every country has bigger social programs than we do. Virtually every country, the government like helps subsidize things. Virtually every country. And if you look at the Freedom Index, they're happier, they're healthier, and even those with like high tax rates that have a 50, 60% tax rate, at the end of the month they have more money left over. The lie that capitalists have told you that if you get more money and you're paid less taxes, you will have more money. It just isn't true. You wind up spending so much more of your money here in America on services that other countries just guarantee for their population. Why does it matter if your tax rate's 60% if you have more money at the end of the month? If you taxed me at 60%, but I had health care, I had cheap housing, education was taken care of, I didn't have to pay. I mean, my energy bill this summer in Arizona, I just saw my energy bill from last month, which I don't even use. Like we didn't have the AC on much. It was like $380, and I have solar. I'm going to be paying like $700 a month in the summer for energy, and I'm going to have solar panels that power my house for half the day. If we had renewable energy and I wasn't paying that, that's $700 that goes right into the economy. It's $700 that I can save. It's $700 that I can use to start a business. If I had universal health care, yeah, I might pay $8,000 a year for universal health care, but that's $4,000 less than what I would pay normally. And if I have an accident, I don't have to wait and see if my knee heals or if I really have a torn ACL. I just go and I get it fixed. I go in on day 3 after the swelling goes down. I get an MRI. Oh, you've got an ACL tear. We fix it. It's a sad thing that we've done. It's a really sad thing that we've done. In the name of American exceptionalism, we fought Russia and we fought China, and we called them commies all this time, and we said communism is bad. China's clearly not communist, right? Clearly. They have a government, so they can't be communist. They're not even socialist. They have capital. Did you see that chart they just showed? I want to point this out. Let's go back. This chart here that's comparing equity investments. That's capitalism. You cannot private investment is capitalism. They have capitalism in China. They just have a mixed economy. It's just a more balanced playing field, and they invest in their people. And in America, we've been so afraid of what their form of government that we have all these conservatives who tell us every day, like, if the government invests in you, you're weak. That's why we're losing. This idea, like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, it's killing us. And that's why I think that looking forward, like as Trump tanks our economy, that's why I think maybe we'll be all right, because people are going to recognize at the end of this, when we bail out the billionaires again, and when we have a massive transfer of wealth, and people are left starting over, they're gonna be like, you know what, fuck it, maybe it's time to bail us out. Maybe it's time the government does something for us instead of just for these billionaires.
China has really cornered the market on.
China is also...
Capitalism isn't freedom. God damn, this is... I have to talk to you Republicans. China's not free, bro. Nobody said China's free. Is Norway free? Is Denmark free? Is the UK free? Is Mexico free? I don't even know what free means. Can they go out and live their life in China? Can you start a business in China? What do you mean free? They just have limits on speech? Is that what you mean? This is the thing. You guys are so afraid of socialism. You don't even know how to like compare it to things. I promise you, we don't have it better than everybody else in the world. I don't know what line of bullshit you're being sold. This is called cognitive dissonance. You've been taught your entire life that America is great because of capitalism, and it's not true. We don't have freedom because of capitalism. Every freedom you have, every freedom you love, freedom of speech, freedom to own a gun, freedom of travel, whatever freedoms you love in America, all of those could exist under socialism too. And I'm not even advocating for socialism. I just want a mixed economy. Let's look at the freedom index. Republicans, please, for the love of God, like, don't just think you're right. Open your mind for like 2 seconds. There's something called the Human Freedom Index, and it measures basically people's ability to live their lives in the freest possible way. So it takes into account not only just freedom of speech and freedom of travel or whatever. It takes into account how much money you have at the end of the month. It takes into account, like, can you go see a doctor? It takes into account, like, do you have access to education? Do you have access to clean water, clean air? It takes into account, like, just general population, that, like, their happiness. We are not a happy country. Look at us now. We're fighting right fucking now. We're not a happy country. We all fucking hate each other. And we all hate each other because we can't blame the problems on the people who are causing us the problems. Because somehow, like, we become so confused at where our problems come from. Our problems come from capitalism, unchecked capitalism. Not saying capitalism by itself can't work. Not saying that getting capital to start a company and employ people isn't a good thing. But capitalism, when unchecked and unregulated, leads to people being miserable, and it always has. If you look just at like human freedom scores, I think this is sortable here. Is this not? Where's this? I want sortability. Is this sortable? There we go. There we go. These are the countries that have the most freedom. Switzerland. Very high social safety net. New Zealand. Denmark, Ireland, Sweden, Estonia, Iceland, Luxembourg, Finland, Norway, Netherlands, Taiwan, Canada, Australia, Latvia, Japan. We don't come in until after all of those countries. Every one of those countries has universal health care. Every one of those countries has either heavily subsidized or free education. Every one of those countries also allows capitalism. Every one of those countries also allows free trade. The freedom comes from the government removing obstacles. That's the role of the government. If you want to be more free, the government's job is to remove obstacles that make you less free. And one of the major obstacles is healthcare. One of the other obstacles is education. People don't have access to education in this country. We have, especially if you're in a red state, you have really shitty K through 12s. So you're not coming out, if you're in a red state, you're probably not coming out with a education that is on the level as a blue state. And then college, because we allowed that to become profit-centered, it's only really affordable if you have great grades, or if you have access to capital, or if you have wealthy parents or some sort of benefactor that's going to pay for your school. Every one of these other countries, you go to your healthcare is covered. You go to school, you get a good education. You can go to secondary school, you can go to college or trade school. They all do it right, and we just can't get it right. And the reason we can't get it right is because people have just been telling us that like socialism is evil, socialism is bad. I don't know why, brother. Come destroy me in a debate, please. I debate all the fucking time. You can watch them all on YouTube. And I'll tell you what, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I will tell you this, that the reason I don't lose debates is because I'm not ideologically driven. And if you tell me something and if you prove that I'm wrong, I'm just going to change my mind and adopt your view. That's how I got most of my views. That's why I went from being like a right-wing conservative, dyed-in-the-wool Republican to where I am now. God just lost debates. And rather than doubling down and being arrogant about losing debates, I just allowed myself to lose the debate and adopt the position. None of my positions I came up with on my own. These are not my own thoughts. I study, I debate, I watch other people debate, and I take the best available data, and that's how I base my opinion. It's a weird time in America where it's not that the left is always right and the right is always wrong. It's just right now you mostly are. Virtually everything the right is saying is provably wrong, demonstrably wrong. So you're welcome to come debate. I'll do this all day. I'll debate for 24 straight hours. I'll take every one of you. But I ask you guys to come up and debate every single day, and rarely do any of you have the guts to come up here and do it. But if you'd like to, all you have to do is add JenDub1 on Discord. She'll bring you right up. Let me read this real quick. John, thanks for joining the Dollar Train there. What do politicians get for healthcare and pension? Yeah, great point, Berserker. If it's so fucking bad, why do our politicians do it for themselves? They give themselves paid healthcare and a pension. And they what do you vet, like after like 12 years or something like that in Congress? Is that what it is? Move to a socialist country, you're so confused. No, I'm going to turn your country into socialist. And I'm going to turn your country into socialist because you guys don't have any fucking arguments. We're going to win. Like, we're going to have social programs. We're going to win, and you're going to be thankful. You might, and you're not going to admit that you held these positions. When you stop paying for health insurance and you realize that our health insurance will go from one of the worst health outcomes countries to the best. We have resources like nobody else does. We will become one of the best countries in the world to live in. Again, that's my goal. I want every American to have the best possible life in America. And that starts with education and healthcare. You'll lose. You're going to lose this battle. I've never, the people that have watched me forever, honest to God, those of you who have been here through TikTok and now, how many times have we ever ended a debate about universal healthcare where the Republican didn't agree with me? Almost never. Almost every Republican at the end of that debate agrees with me, and it's not because I'm a genius. It's because there's no argument against it. The argument for private healthcare is fucking silly. It's not me. It's the ideas. That's why every other country does it this way too. Well, you think that you like rural Alabama, like that's really who has the best ideas on healthcare. The whole world just doesn't know what Tony from rural Alabama knows. If they knew what Trump knew, the guy that just worked in real estate his whole life, yeah, he's really the expert. But all these other countries, they don't know how great it could be. They could privatize their healthcare and be awesome like us. We have the freedom to pay the most in the world. We have the freedom to not be able to afford a deductible. We are so free that 30 million of us can't go see a doctor because we can't afford it. Look up Eric Prince, Blackwater. Yeah, we did. Let's continue with China beating our ass on is waiting for surgery in Canada, and he's going to die. Yeah, we're number 2 in wait times. Canada has problems with their healthcare system, and I don't advocate for Canada's healthcare system. I think they should revamp their healthcare system. I think they made mistakes. Not all universal healthcare is equal, but we're second. So now explain that. So Canada's worse. Every other country that's better than us on wait times that has universal healthcare. So figure that out. We're number 2. I already covered this.
Fusion.
Why don't you guys care about that? How come you're not up in arms about us, the United States government, funding SpaceX? Isn't that weird? You guys are always so against everything I say, but when Elon Musk gets government contracts, when Eric Prince gets government contracts, it's fine. It's fine if you use government funding to make billionaires richer, but if you use government funding to give people a leg up or to give people a good or a service that they desperately need, then it's evil. Do you see how fucked the people that talk to you are? Do you see how fucked your leaders are? That they'll do stuff like this. We need to go up in space. Fucking why? Tell me right now why going to space is more important than giving people health care. Explain that to me, please. I don't give a fuck about space. I don't. It was so cool when Amazon paid all those celebrities to go up in space. That was awesome. By the way, using government subsidies, using infrastructure that the government created, cool. Now Jeff Bezos gets to send his girlfriend up into space. That was super helpful. Not even really space though, like just into the Earth's orbit. Cool. We get nothing from that. You guys you'll fight till the day that you die for Elon Musk to get funding for shit we don't need. But 30 million Americans can't get health care, and you're like, yeah, that's right, America, baby, freedom, baby, capitalism, baby. If we're doing capitalism, why the fuck are we funding it? That's not capitalism. By the way, I'll just point again to Eric Trump yesterday saying that if the government funds something, the government should get royalties. That's what China's doing. So when Eric Trump says it, it's no problem. But if I have the audacity to say that if the government gives somebody money, we should get something in return, you guys are like, no, socialism, communism, bad. Do you see how easy it is to program you? You don't know the difference. You don't know you're cool with some government spending and you're not cool with others, and all the government spending that you're cool with doesn't benefit you. What a weird fucking position to take. I only like government spending if I don't get any benefit. If I get benefit, I'm not for it. If it makes my life easier, I don't fucking want it. But if it makes Elon richer, I want it. If Elon can get to Mars, I want that really bad. It's very important to me that Elon get to Mars. Thanks, Joseph, for joining the dollar trade. The fuck are we doing here? Where's all those people that said I get dusted in debate then? Though, Jen, you must have a line of people that have messaged you for a debate, right? I'm sure our waiting room is full. Thanks, Lenora. Keep up the good fight. Good job fight. And by the way, I don't want to debate. I want to have a conversation with you guys. I legitimately want to know how you got to this position and why you're so dead set on this position that the government should fund billionaires but not you. Doesn't make any sense. Jen, how long's the list of people that are waiting to jump in for the debate?
A whole lot of nobodies.
Oh, nobody. Oh, okay.
And Discord's free. I know you guys are big spenders out there with how much you work, because that's how you guys talk about it all the time.
Yeah, in the middle
The
of the day.
Discord service that you could use. So it won't hurt your paychecks or your wallet.
I love, yeah. How many countries have I lived in? One. I can read data, dude. Like this isn't 1492. I don't have to travel on a ship to look at the data coming out of other countries. I have the internet. It's pretty fucking cool. Well, by the way, like going to the doctor doesn't make you an expert on the American medical industry. I've been to the doctor a lot. I go get my oil changed. When my car breaks down, I take it to a mechanic. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know shit about that. Living in an like having a lived experience is cool for lived experiences. If you want to talk about culture, you'll notice I don't really talk about the culture of other countries. I don't know. I don't know what the culture is like. All I can give you is data. I can show you that their outcomes are better, and I can tell you that they report that they're happier. I can tell you that their government doesn't accept lobbyists running everything. I'm not talking to you about lived experience. I'm just talking to you about data. And the data says that we're pretty fucking shitty at this. And by the way, if Joe Biden was president and I was saying this and all these criticisms were directed at Joe Biden, every fucking one of you would be on board with me. You just don't like it because your guy's in power. And I don't care. He's going to be in power for 4 years. It is what it is. He's going to do shit that I don't like. I'm not. Do you hear me criticizing everything he does? The guy signs 15 executive orders every day. Couldn't even keep up with it. I just want America to be a better place for everybody. I think that you should have the freedom to say and do whatever the fuck you want. I think you should have the freedom to drink clean water, breathe fresh air. I think that you shouldn't go bankrupt if something bad happens to you medically. I think that you and your children should have access to education, that it should be a true choice, not a sacrifice. You should not have to sacrifice and gamble on your education. If you want to be educated, you should be educated, and it should be affordable. That's crazy. And to you guys, that's crazy. Oh, no, dude. Anything worth doing is worth risking your life for. That's dumb. What a dumb way to live life. Thank you, Tanya, for the super chat there. Yeah, make America great for the first time. That's what I'd say. I don't think America has ever been great for everybody. America's been great for people. And on a global scale, like we've been a world power, if you want to look at it that way. I'm not that interested in being a world power. I don't think it's very fun being a world power. Not the way we are. Do you know how much stuff we like? Do you ever think about this? I don't know if conservatives ever think about it. I sure didn't. But now I do. Just think of the atrocities that we have committed to become who we are. I don't like that. I don't like that that's in our history. And I don't want that to be our future. I don't think that we had, because I look at all these other countries who didn't commit atrocities and they're doing fine and their people are happy and they're not worried about being called up to war all the time and they're not constantly worried about being hacked by their enemies. I like that. I don't like that this perpetual state of fear that we have to live in America. I don't like it. I wish we would just like get rid of our military and sign peace deals. Dude, China's not coming after us, by the way. How come China never attacks us? How come we're always told be afraid of China, be afraid of China, be afraid of China, and then we go bomb Afghanistan, and then we go bomb Syria, and then we go bomb Yemen. China's not doing it. Like China's not doing anything. They're just over there. They're just building. China's argument makes sense. They're like, America might attack us because, we're becoming a global power, so we better build up our military. But it's not like China's out there fighting wars. It's not like they're out there invading. You know what I mean? Like if you look at this, just honestly from an outsider perspective, take out any bit of programming that you have, and just look at history, and say the last 50 years of history. Who is more peaceful, us or China? It's China. It's not close. We've been lied to this whole time that China's coming after us and that we have to keep doing all this shit or else China will invade. They're not invading. China was tied to us economically and they're competitive. So they're better than us at a lot of things now. And that's because we are, the truth is, America is where we are because we are fucking lazy. We are intellectually lazy. We are physically lazy. We have no pride in our country. Nobody will do anything that's not about them, about a profit. These people, when DeepSeek came out and it beat ChatGPT in those metrics, everybody in China was celebrating. They're like, yeah, we did it. This is great. And the people who started DeepSeek, they're not billionaires. Because China invests in their own people. So like when they have these collective, like they've cleaned up the air. They've built these tech cities. They build cities where people don't have to own cars. They have free Wi-Fi. Everywhere you go, you have free fast Wi-Fi. They've made it so that you're less likely to become homeless. The middle class is thriving in China. Economically, China is who we were when we used to tax people at a higher rate. The truth about America is we are selfish, we are bloated, we are lazy, and that's why we are where we are. And Republicans don't want to tell you that. Republicans want to tell you that the reason that we're struggling in America is because of woke ideologies. Imagine that. Imagine telling the founding fathers, 250 years from now, you'll never believe it. You know what's killed America? What? They're letting gay people get married. And they're letting people choose their own gender. How did that bring us down? Well, we're mad about it. No, we're fucking lazy. That's it. We don't build cool things really anymore. Like the most kids now, like if you're in your 20-something and you're like, I want to be rich, what are you going to do? You're going to invent something? No, you're going to learn how to trade crypto. You're going to learn how to trade stocks. We're a fat, bloated, arrogant country, and that's the truth. And we got a bunch of people who think they know a lot of shit without ever learning a goddamn thing. We got a bunch of people in this chat that hang out all day and go, you're dumb. Trump is great. I trust Trump. I love Trump. That's such a fucking lazy take. That's an incredibly lazy take to just be like, I just like Trump. What's up, Jen?
I think we have someone who is finally DM'd me or added me, but I asked them if they're who they are and they haven't replied back yet. So we may have an opposition. So if you're D Brown and you just DM me or added me, you respond back too, because we typically wrap up around 1. So like he said, he'll stay longer, but you need to reply back sooner rather than later. So.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Jen's mic was loud. That's my bad. All right. Well, we'll see. I don't have a ton of time, but I can stay a little later. Joseph said, Jay, you have to watch the interview with Shamath Palihapitiya. I don't know if I say that right. You could do an entire show on it. It says the quiet part out loud. I played a clip from it. We could probably do that. Let me watch it again today. I haven't watched the whole interview. That was on like the Bro podcast. I played a clip from it that it really was like just that was the. In fact, it's probably on Twitter the most engagement I've ever got on anything. In fact, if I go to Twitter right now and I hit my notifications, I'm guessing I'm going to have notifications on. Yeah, exactly. On this. I don't think I've ever had more engagement on Twitter. I don't have much of a following on Twitter, but it was from this.
About the Trump administration, which is totally different. Okay, I was a lifelong Democrat, okay? I was a mega donor to the Democrats. Like dinner with Obama level donor, okay? I couldn't get a fucking phone call returned from the White House to save my life. The only thing that happened to me was I made an off-color comment about like something in China, and I had the Biden administration like basically say something, like essentially put out a press release basically saying I was like, mean. That's all I got.
Remember, I covered Schulte, MAGA. I don't know this guy's. This dude is miserable. I always forget his name. His wife is very liberal, and she trashes him online all the time for not pushing back against MAGA.
Millions of dollars. That, you know what I mean? Like,
for being honest.
For being honest. He doesn't know what he said, by the way. Let's see I'll look what he said about China. Let's see if he was being honest.
I mean, I was like, hey, man, there's like a lot of problems in America. Like, talk to me about the fentanyl crisis before we talk about everything else. Anyways, the Trump administration is totally different. There's not a single person there you can't get on the phone.
Oh, yeah. He said nobody cares about the genocide in China. That's what he said. Nobody cares about the Uyghur genocide. That was his. That was the it's just something. Or just telling the truth. I don't know. I think a lot of people care. Every time I talk about China, the Republicans are like, what about the genocide? So I think everybody cares.
And talk to. I'll give you an example of this. A friend of mine's company was really impacted with these tariffs in a bad way, okay? This is like a really amazing, legitimate American business, 150-year-old business, family owned, all this stuff. And I was able to call the deputy chief of staff and I said, hey, can you talk to the CEO and just so hear on the ground? He's like instantly putting me on the phone. You know, my wife.
Yeah, so that was the point that I wanted to play. Like, and I think that's the tweet is this dude is talking about how he couldn't buy Democrats, but it's so easy to buy MAGA and folks think this is good. He's just like bragging about how, dude, I've been donating to Democrats forever and I can't get what I want. And all I had to do one time was donate to Trump and now I get what I want. Whoever that was, sorry, my friend. We're going to run out of time before we get there. Yeah, I'll watch that whole interview today, and I'll see. There's probably some clips I can pull from it. You said there was something about tariffs. Trump couldn't change a tire or his oil, but you still think he's so manly. Yeah. Why should the man get any say? Oh, that's not for me. I was just trying to answer some of these questions. Somebody asked if I like anything. Dude, I like a lot of things. I cover politics. It's not a good time for politics. It's not a good time for America. I'm not going to cover the fun, happy news stories that I like every single day. We've got a fucking moron running our country, and he's driving it into the ground. And unfortunately, people's devotion to him clouds their judgment. I lived through the first Trump administration. It wasn't this. People stopped him from doing this. He tried to do this. People stopped him. So it was bad, but like we would get in trouble. They're like, "Oh, you guys are sounding the alarm. Trump would never do that. Look, he didn't do that his first time around." I debated you guys. I was trying to get you guys to vote for Kamala. I'm not huge on Kamala. I mean, I think that she would have been better than Trump, but not. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I don't think we would have got universal health care. I don't know that she would have done a whole lot when it came to Israel and Palestine. I think that there's like marginally things would have been a little bit better. I think we would have continued on the trajectory of recovery post-COVID, and it would have been marginal. But every time we'd talk about this, we'd talk about Trump creating a trade war. We'd talk about him tanking the stock market. We'd talk about him increasing inflation, which is going to happen. We talked about the prices. We talked about the fact that he doesn't understand what a tariff is, and that his tariffs are going to increase prices. He's going to start a trade war with China, and we would lose. And we told you that, and you guys are all like, he wouldn't do that. Did he do that the first term? Did he do that the first term? Well, you're just making predictions. We'll see. And then I would ask him all the time, okay, well, I'm making this prediction. So if Trump gets in office and he starts doing these things, will you turn on him? Yeah, absolutely. I'll be right there. I'll be right by your side. It's like two of you have turned on him. He lied about this on the debate stage. He said he wasn't going to do all this shit. He's doing this shit. Yeah, it's frustrating. And frankly, I'm nervous. I'm going to show one more clip before we go because it's fucking terrifying. And so, yeah, I'm going to be angry and I'm going to be loud. And I'm sorry. But I might not be that sorry. Let me see if I can find this. Where is it? Actually, I'm going to play these last three. I'll go a little later. Jen, I'm going to start on 13. This is Sebastian Gorka, who is Trump's, ironically, like counterterrorism czar. So I am standing up for people who are being deported without due process. And those people are being labeled terrorists, and I don't think the president should be able to just label somebody a terrorist and have them removed with due process. That's my opinion. I don't particularly care if these people are good people or bad people. I don't like the idea that we eliminate due process. But now the Trump administration is saying not only are they criminals, maybe I'm a criminal too.
Realize that the taxonomy of politics in America is dead. It's not left and right. It's not even Republican or Democrat. There's one line that divides us. Do you love America or do you hate America? It's really quite that simple.
So now they're creating this false dichotomy where if you criticize Trump, you hate America. You guys are saying it in the chat. You're doing the same shit because you fall for this. There's only two options. You either love America and bootlick Trump, do everything that he says, or you hate America.
simple. And we have people who love America, like the president, like his cabinet, like the directors of his agencies, who want to protect Americans. And then there is the other side that is on the side of the cartel members, on the side of the illegal aliens, on the side of the terrorists. And you have to ask yourself, are they technically aiding and abetting them? Because aiding and abetting criminals and terrorists is a crime in federal statute, Rob.
Made me sick when I heard that. He's accusing me of a crime. He's accusing me of aiding and abetting terrorists for saying that they should have due process. We're like at the 6th stage. It's been 2 months. Yeah, no shit, it's been 2 months. And 2 months in, they're talking about arresting me for saying due process should be adhered to. You know how fucking sick that is? Donald Trump's... don't tell me I'm that I'm overreacting. Donald Trump said we can take homegrown criminals to El Salvador too. If I'm aiding and abetting a terrorist, and they're telling you that if they label somebody a terrorist that they lose due process, I lose due process. I travel. I go to Mexico. I'm afraid to go to Mexico. If they can do this, if they can arrest and detain and throw people in prison and then say, sorry, we can't get them back. Do you know how fucking sick that is? We're just going to pretend that's normal, Republicans? Yeah, boo-hoo. Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you, Skirple. Fuck you right in the ass. You would have been saying fuck you to the Jews too. Oh, boo-hoo. You have to go to a concentration camp. You guys are fucking sick. I can't, like, how can you sit here and be like, oh, that's fine? That's sick. It's absolutely sick. Yeah, I guess, like, if I'm a pussy for not wanting to be thrown in prison, sure. Only Democrats put American citizens into camps. When? When did Democrats put American citizens into camps? You guys are doing it right now. Sounds good to me. Cry about it. Yeah, you guys are, this is why we call you fucking Nazis. Because you're all fucking Nazis. I don't like it when you call us Nazis. Then don't fucking act like it. When we start putting people in prison for voicing their opinion, don't act like a fucking Nazi. You guys just don't like being tied to a genocide. That's the truth. That's the scary part about living under Trump's America. The amount of people here that are going to justify this. We wouldn't justify this on our side of the aisle. There's no chance. That's fucking sick. You guys are sick. You've got a real fucking problem. You want to abandon the Constitution so that Trump can be king and then make all of us that disagree with him go to prison so you don't have to hear it anymore. That's what I say when I say, like, America turned soft and lazy and stupid. It's you. You don't want to have to think. You don't want to have to address difficult things. You just want Donald Trump to make the decisions for you. And as long as you put on that hat and lick his asshole every single day, you'll be fine. The time comes for you too. That's fucking insane. I'm going to skip this one because it takes a while. There's a video, Jen, will you post 14 in there? It's a lady just reading journal entries of people that talked like me, who were then thrown in concentration camps and executed in Germany. I know that the Republicans will boo-hoo this guy too. This is a 90-year-old Holocaust survivor. I think confronting, I believe this was Chuck Grassley. No, Tom Homan, excuse me. This is a Holocaust survivor who has lived experience of being doing nothing wrong but being Jewish and speaking out against his people being thrown in concentration camps. And he spent his time in a concentration camp. And this is incredibly powerful what he said to Tom Homan.
I was hauled up by the Nazis. And for no other reason, I was picked up and separated from my family, who was exterminated in Auschwitz. And I am a survivor of Auschwitz and Dachau. I spent 5.5 years in concentration camp. I spent 5.5 years in concentration camp for one reason and one reason only. Because we picked on people. And you as the sheriff, who we elected as sheriff of this county, we did not elect you as sheriff of Washington, D.C. It's about time you serve the people here. And when this gentleman stands up there and he says he doesn't go after any people, he should read today's beat. Because in today's beat, the Supreme Court Justice of State of California objected to ICE coming in and taking people away from the courts. Don't tell me that this is a lie. You stand up here, Mr. Jones, don't forget, history is not on your side.
It's not on your side. You can see the Nazis in the chat now. You can see the Nazis now. We've got a Nazi problem in this country. The problem is, for Nazis, and I'll say this right to your face, you're all fucking pussies, which is why you're Nazis. You don't have any real skills. The world doesn't really care about you. You're overlooked. People don't want to date you. People don't want to marry you. People don't want to be around you. And you don't have the ability to look in the mirror and say, maybe it's me. So you blame everybody else who looks different than you. But the world dealt with the Nazis. And if you want to go down this route, the world will deal with you. And yeah, maybe there will be people like me and people on my side that will lose in this battle. And there will be lives lost. There's already lives that are being lost. But eventually the world comes for you. And eventually you'll get what's coming. And then the world resets. I wish we could get rid of Nazis forever. I wish that we could figure out a way for average Americans to recognize what a Nazi is, what a fascist is. I wish we could. I wish it wasn't so hard to convince them. We spent the last 4 years trying to convince you not to put this guy back in, not to put in a fucking Nazi who was hell-bent on revenge. We begged you guys to choose somebody else. You would have won with Nikki Haley. You would have won with anybody. And this is the problem that Republicans have, is every Republican who claims they're not a Nazi has to deal with the fact that the loudest voices in every room, just like in this room, are Nazis. Why do the Nazis always show up with you? You say you're not Nazis. You say we're anti-Semitic. How come the Nazis always show up with you guys? How come the Nazis are the ones cheerleading your immigration efforts? Why do you find yourself with commonplace with the Nazis so very often? The people of Germany mostly didn't consider themselves that type of Nazi either. No. We're just National Socialists. And yeah, it's inconvenient, but you know, these Jewish people were destroying our country, so they had to go. And yeah, it sucks. And just like you guys, it's the same fucking thing. When we had debates on Tuesday night, I had to convince, the amount of evidence we had to show that people were sent to the El Salvadoran prison without due process and without evidence of a crime was astonishing. They didn't want to, I'm thinking specifically of Bell. If you guys remember that, if you didn't watch those debates, they're on our YouTube. You look for RTP in the Wild from Tuesday night. I think it was the first or second guest. Her name was Bell. I think she was not from Yugoslavia, but from somewhere near Yugoslavia. She didn't believe that we were paying El Salvador. She didn't even know we were sending people to prison. She didn't know that we had put people in prison in El Salvador without a conviction of a crime and that they were refusing a Supreme Court order to bring them back. There's enough Republicans who are willfully misinformed, and then there are some who are just misinformed. But no matter where you go, the Nazis are with you. If I were you, I wouldn't like that. I don't know why you guys don't work to expel the Nazis from your party. And I think the real answer is you don't want to believe they're Nazis. It doesn't, for an immigrant to be deported, to be sent to prison, it takes no evidence for you. But I don't, like, short of a Nazi showing up in a Nazi uniform and telling you I am a Nazi, I think it's almost impossible for you guys to recognize what a Nazi is. And the reason it's hard for you to recognize what a Nazi is because they sound like you. So it's confusing. Because certainly you're not a Nazi. You don't want to get rid of all Jewish people. Most of the people in Germany didn't want to do that either. They fearmonger. They get you afraid of a certain group or class of people. And once you're afraid of those people, and once you dehumanize those people, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're poisoning the blood, they're ruining our country, they're bringing their murderers, their rapists, their drugs. Once they dehumanize people enough, once they generalize a group enough and dehumanize them, you justify it. And you say things like, oh, you know what, I like legal immigration. I don't like illegal immigration. You all say that. But we got people in the chat telling me that these people were illegal immigrants. They're here legally. How can you be both an illegal immigrant and here legally? How can you have court-ordered protected status and be here illegally? How does it make sense of that? They tell you that you're okay with legal immigration, but then when people immigrate here legally and then they are removed without due process, you don't care. So I don't think it's really about that. There's a lot of Republicans that need to look themselves in the face right now and figure out what fucking side of history you're about to be on. Because we are deporting people without due process who will die in the El Salvadoran prison. We will have no record of them. We won't even know when they died. They don't have to tell us. They could be beaten. They could be sexually assaulted. They could be forced into slave labor. We'll never know. That's why the Nazis took people to Poland. That's why the concentration camps almost exclusively weren't in Germany. So they could remove their atrocities from the sight of the German people. So the German people could do exactly what you guys are doing. Pretend it's not happening. Close your eyes. Plug your ears. Say, oh, my country would never do that. Oh, I'm sure there's a few instances of bad apples, but that's not what we're doing. It's not what I support. But you'll never know because it's in El Salvador and they don't have to report to us. That's the whole point of why are we sending them to an El Salvadoran prison? Why not an American prison? If you're El Salvadoran and we send you back to El Salvador, okay. That makes sense. That's the country of origin. Why are we sending them to a prison without a conviction? And if they committed a crime in America, why not an American prison? Because then we're accountable. Then you have to face a judge. And the judge is going to say, what is your evidence that this person is a gang member? Well, my evidence is somebody said they were. That's not enough. So that's what this administration has done. Like it or not, this administration has decided that what they're going to do is if you are not a naturalized or born or a citizen born in America, you don't get due process and you can be thrown into prison off of a baseless allegation. Do you really like being on that side, Republicans? Are you comfortable being on the side of history where an accusation can give you a life sentence? Have you guys looked at the jails? Have you compared the jails in El Salvador and Nazi Germany? Let's take a look at it. Maybe some of you guys haven't seen this. Let's see if I can find them. Does this look humane? I'm going to turn off the music. Does this look humane to you? Did you know that this is what is happening? By the way, they made this video. They're bragging about this video. Does this look humane to you, Republicans? I think most of you haven't seen this. They don't show you this. Are you good with this? I know the Nazis here are good with this. Yeah, good thing El Salvador isn't in the U.S. Yeah, good thing. Yeah, they can treat these people as subhuman. Do you like watching these? Does this make you feel good? Yeah? You should have to sprint in, sit in rooms on floors like that. Does this look humane to you? This looks like dude. This looks like in Utah. There's like I don't remember who it is. Swanson's like turkey farm. This looks like a fucking turkey farm, and that makes me sick when it's turkeys. These are human beings. This is humane. You think this is what the United States should be doing for people who are just simply accused of a crime? And the crime is just being, by the way, the crime he's accused of is being affiliated with other people who are affiliated with other people who committed a crime. They're not even accusing him of a crime. They're accusing him of being affiliated with people who have committed crimes. You think that an accusation of being affiliated with a criminal deserves this treatment for life? Look at the cells. This is how they're placed in cells, packed. I'm not comfortable with that. What's the difference here? Here's Dachau. The difference here seems that it seems that in Germany they had a little bit more clothes. You show me the difference here. These are human beings, and I understand some of these people are murderers, rapists, the most vile of the vile people. Some of these people are that. I don't know what percent, but some of them are innocent. Some of them have committed no crime. Even if you wanted to say that this Abrego Garcia was a violent criminal, there's an accusation that he hit his wife. I've seen it. I'm not on the record of saying I think Abrego Garcia is a good person. I don't. I think that in fact, frankly, based on what I've seen, I think it's likely that at the very least he had friends that sold drugs. And I think that I'm going to go ahead and take his wife's word that he hit her. Bad person. I don't think we should undo due process. I forget the other guy's name, the guy that's the barber. He has committed no crime, and he's here. He's certainly innocent. They've provided no evidence of any crime that person has ever committed. I get that the Nazis here are cool with it. I get it. I know Nazis are pieces of shit. I want to know, you guys that say you're not Nazis, that don't agree with the Nazis that are in the chat today, I just want to know how you're feeling about this. It's tough to watch. It's tough to look at. If this isn't hard for you to look at, I'm concerned about you. If you're celebrating this, I'm very concerned about you. Let me read messages, then we'll get out of here. I think I might have got them all, actually. Marcus, thanks for joining the dollar train. Tex, thanks for sending the donation. I'm not going to read your racism. Again, I'll just tell you. Texas pointing out the lack of ethnic diversity in China. I've said a million times, I don't think that everything China does is good, but we should learn from the good things they do. You guys want to just continue down like this road of mediocrity, which Tex is exactly what you are. You're a below average, mediocre human being. And so you want to just not have good things because China did bad things while you stand by and applaud this shit. Did I miss any other ones? Let's see. I read that. Jen. Oh, thanks, Charles. So keep it up, my friend. Surely there is someone in here you're reaching. I hope so. I have good relationships with Republicans. Whatever you want to say, like, you don't see my DMs. It's Republicans that host me for debate nights, not liberals. I'll have these discussions with all of you. I believe that most of you don't want to be on this side of history. I believe most of you aren't Nazis. And I think that maybe that's going to take some tough conversations and you viewing some things that you don't want to see. But for any Republican here who's a little bit on the fence right now, I'm just going to say, go do a little more research today. Go look into people who were accused of crimes without due process and what the conditions are like in El Salvador. Just go look into it, because I promise you, your media is not telling you the truth. They're not showing you this. And I recognize that left-wing media might only be telling the truth because it's convenient for them. And maybe when Biden was president, they didn't tell the truth. In fact, most of the time, I'm far more likely to believe the media of the person who isn't in power. I think that's a good rule of thumb. That the person who's not in power, that media is probably going to tell you the truth more often. The ones that have an incentive to keep that person in power, they have an incentive to lie, right? And an incentive to cover things up. Which is why you guys all hated CNN and MSNBC. Then you're like, oh, you're covering up. And now you're like, oh, now you're lying. But like Fox News isn't covering shit up. Anyways, Jeff, thank you. Said thanks for that, El Salvador. Thanks to that, El Salvador is a safe country. Shut the fuck up. You shut the fuck up. How about that? El Salvador is not a safe country. I'm not safe in El Salvador. El Salvador is safe from gangs, but has nothing to do with the United States sending non-violent criminals to El Salvador and throwing them in prisons. So not thanks to that. El Salvador is their own country. Us sending prisoners to El Salvador doesn't make them more safe, and it doesn't make us less safe. It's just a way to be cruel. And so shut the fuck up. All right, everybody. We will see you tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time here on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter. I think that's it. If you missed part of the show, the replays are always available on YouTube, as well as our debate nights every Tuesday night. You can look for RTP in the Wild. As Jen has mentioned many times, we do have paid memberships as well. If you'd like to support us that way, we have merchandise that's in the link tree in our bio. Engage with us other places, Instagram, Twitter. It goes a long way. And while you're here, before you go, if you want to be part of a cool club, like a video, make a comment on a video. It goes a long way to make sure that we're recommended in the chat, and we'll take these Nazis down one by one. Thank you guys for the support. I will see you tomorrow morning. Stay cute and cool, and have a great, great, great summer.